Chapter 1421. Hearing the Lancer family from Wang Songshan's mouth, Butler Mu couldn't help but take a deep breath. This was because the Lancer family and the Douglas family were not on the same level at all. If the Butterfly family still had an absolute advantage in the battle with the Douglas family, then they were at an absolute disadvantage against the Lancer family. Although the Butterfly family was an assassin family, no one would believe that the Lancer family did not have any life-saving trump cards. It was true that the Butterfly family had a group of fierce assassins, but wasn't the Lancer family the same? The Lancer family was a super arms dealer. Not to mention anything else, just weapons and equipment alone were inferior to the Lancer family. If they really fought openly, the Butterfly family might not have any advantage. However, even so, the Butterfly family was not a soft persimmon that could be easily bullied. So thinking of this, Butler Mu said, "In this matter, the Lancer family is obviously unreasonable. Our family is not afraid of trouble. I believe that as long as they dare to make a move, we will fight back. At that time, someone in the upper class will definitely come forward to mediate, but in the end, the Lancer family will still be criticized." "Butler Mu, you misunderstood." Wang Songshan waved his hand and sighed. "If the Lancer family really fought openly with us, then we would fight to the death with them even at the risk of damaging our vitality. However, they didn't make an open enemy of us. Instead, they played a dirty trick." "Dirty trick? What's going on?" Butler Mu was slightly stunned after hearing Wang Songshan's words, but immediately seemed to understand something. He frowned. "Are they going to make a fuss about the supply of firearms? Last night, the Lancer family's family master, Thomas, called me." Wang Songshan nodded helplessly. Thomas claimed that the upstream supplier's firearms quota had been reduced and could no longer supply our Butterfly family with firearms. Sure enough. Butler Mu's eyes turned cold after hearing it. What a good knife to kill without spilling blood. In this way, no one can say anything. His reason is dignified, and we can only suffer in silence. Yeah, who would believe such a lame reason? Wang Songshan said, "However, even if you don't believe it, so what if you know that the Lancer family is the excuse?" At this moment, Wang Songshan still didn't know that the fact that Thomas, the upstream supplier, had his supply quota reduced was about to come true. At that time, it wouldn't just be a simple reduction, it would be completely gone. If Thomas knew that his casual words had turned into a fact, he would probably cry but have no tears, right? This led to Wang Xiaoyan running away from home for so many years. But now, Wang Songshan seemed to have changed into a different person. "Previously, your marriage agreement was set by your grandfather. Firstly, it was because your fiancé was indeed very outstanding. Secondly, it was because this was the rules set by your grandfather for our Butterfly family. Thirdly, it was also because Ruoshui couldn't be together with the king of assassins back then, which made me feel a knot in my heart. Therefore, I wanted to facilitate the marriage between you and this generation's king of assassins." Wang Songshan looked at Wang Xiaoyan lovingly and said what he had been thinking for many years. "I set a goal for you to build an assassin organization that is more powerful than the Butterfly family. You can decide your marriage by yourself. In fact, this is just a way for me to get out of the embarrassing situation. You know very well whether you have achieved this goal or not. Although you have not achieved it, I still agreed to break off the engagement. Have you thought about the reason in between?" Wang Xiaoyan couldn't help but be a little moved after listening to Wang Songshan's words. "Yes, my goal has not been achieved. Although my assassin group is thriving now, it is very difficult to surpass the Butterfly family. After all, my foundation and heritage are still shallow. Even if I integrate into the Charles family, it doesn't mean that I can surpass the Butterfly family." However, her father had suddenly changed his mind and agreed to break off the engagement. Could it be that she had wronged her father in the past? Perhaps my father has his own difficulties in the position of the family master. Indeed, it was very difficult for his father, as the current head of the family, to overturn the decision of the previous head of the family. Even if he wanted to do it, he would need a reason. Then, the agreement with him would be the step to overturn this decision. In fact, what Wang Xiaoyan didn't know was that if her current boyfriend was not Yang Ming, it would not be so easy for Wang Songhan to overturn her grandfather's decision even if he wanted to. In this kind of big family, the words of the previous family master were like an imperial edict. Just like in the imperial families of the past, the rules of the ancestors could not be changed. Changing the rules left behind by the ancestors was not something that the current generation of people could casually decide. In the past, many emperors seemed to have great power, and their words were like gold and jade. However, when it came to matters of principle, even the most powerful emperor would be extinguished by the words of the ministers of the ancestors. Chapter 1422. Then Dad, this time you. Wang Xiaoyan listened to her father's words and raised her head worriedly. A trace of worry flashed in her eyes. Although she had not been in the butterfly family for many years, as an assassin, she naturally knew the importance of firearms to an assassin organization, especially those limited supply of special firearms. It could be said that it was hard to find, and it was not something that could be bought with money. Once they lost these firearms, would the butterfly family still have the same status in the assassin world? It would not be long before they would decline into a second-rate family. This time, I'm afraid it will be difficult for the Lancer family to turn things around. Wang Songhan smiled bitterly, but even so, I will not compromise. You have suffered these years. I will not use you as a bargaining chip to revitalize the family. I'm sorry. Although Wang Xiaoyan knew that what happened to the family this time seemed to have nothing to do with her, in fact, it had a lot to do with her. In fact, Good came for her. If she did not exist, Good would definitely not have a bad relationship with the butterfly family. Yan, what does this have to do with you? Wang Songhan waved his hand and said heroically, you are in the butterfly family. As a father, I can't protect you. This is my responsibility. What does it have to do with you? Wang Xiaoyan nodded. She did not agree with her father's words. After all, there was always someone better. The butterfly family was not the most powerful existence. Once they encountered an opponent like the Lancer family that even her father could not resist, then this was no longer a personal responsibility. Dad, is our problem now just the firearms problem? Wang Xiaoyan suddenly thought of something. It's just the firearms problem. Isn't that enough? Wang Songhan could not help but be speechless after listening to his daughter's words. Listening to his daughter's tone, it seems that it is not enough that the firearms were contained by the Lancer family. If it's just the firearms problem, I think I should be able to solve this problem for the family. Wang Xiaoyan paused and said. She did not use a very certain tone, but used should because she was not 100% sure in her heart. But even so, she still had some confidence. The person she had suddenly thought of was Yang Ming. Originally, the combination of Wang Xiaoyan and Yang Ming was quite strange. When the two of them first got together, it was only a mutually beneficial cooperation. However, as the situation developed, both of them fell in love with each other. Wang Xiaoyan also witnessed Yang Ming's huge power again and again. Whether it was the Karsi family incident or what he had seen and encountered along the way from Vietnam to Africa, it showed that Yang Ming was not an ordinary person. Especially during the days in Country X in Africa, Wang Xiaoyan was with Yang Ming. Yang Ming's disciple, Old Buffon's ability, Wang Xiaoyan was also very clear about it. This person could even get armored vehicles, rocket launchers, planes, and cannons. The special firearms that her family needed should not be a problem for him. He was not boasting. Even if he wanted missiles, he could probably get it. If Wang Xiaoyan did not know the special relationship between old Bufan and Yang Ming, Wang Xiaoyan would not dare to boast casually. However, she had lived with Yang Ming in old Bufan's house for a while. Wang Xiaoyan was very clear about old Bufan's respect for Yang Ming from the bottom of his heart. Even she was his master's wife, old Bufan was very respectful. Therefore, she believed that as long as Yang Ming did not even need Yang Ming to speak, she would talk to old Bufan. Old Bufan should give her face. The firearms in the family would not be a big problem. Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan dared to boast in front of her father. Yan, are you joking? Wang Songhan glanced at his daughter incredulously. It was not that he suspected that his daughter was lying, but what Wang Xiaoyan said was too shocking. He had racked his brains, and even Fang Tian was at his wit's end, but his daughter could solve it. Looking at the meaning of her words, it seemed that she had a lot of confidence. What was going on? Dad, how can I joke about this kind of thing? Wang Xiaoyan looked at her father's expression and knew that he did not believe her words. She smiled bitterly and said, I mean, my boyfriend, he may be able to solve it. Wang Xiaoyan had no choice but to use Yang Ming. However, she thought that her aunt would not know who Yang Ming was, so Wang Xiaoyan was afraid that it would be troublesome to explain, so she directly used the term boyfriend. Yang. Oh. He can solve it. Wang Songhan almost blurted out the two words, Yang Ming, but he remembered that Wang Ruoshui was still by his side. If he said Yang Ming's name, it would obviously make Wang Ruoshui suspect something. Although he didn't know if Wang Ruoshui remembered Yang Ming's name, Wang Songhan didn't want to take the risk. This matter was still hidden from Wang Ruoshui for the time being. It was not that Wang Songhan deliberately hid it from Wang Ruoshui, but Wang Songhan and Fang Tian were really embarrassed to explain this matter. If Wang Ruoshui knew that Wang Songhan and Fang Tian were disrespectful and made these things difficult for the younger generation, she might despise them. Therefore, even if they wanted to explain, they had to find an opportunity to explain tactfully. They couldn't be exposed so directly, which would only increase the embarrassment. It should be possible. He has a wide network. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and said, but her eyes were firm because she firmly believed that this matter was not troublesome for Yang Ming. After seeing the firearms that old Bufan had gotten, Wang Xiaoyan was very confident in old Bufan. He can do it. Although Wang Songhan didn't question again, it seemed that he didn't believe it in his heart. Wang Songhan also understood his daughter's blind trust in Yang Ming as the kind of blind worship that a woman in love had for a man. What can Yang Ming do? His master, Fang Tian, can't do anything, let alone Yang Ming. If there was something that Fang Tian didn't participate in, it was nothing more than relying on the relationship with the Charles family. However, he had asked Yang Ming before. How can the Charles family get more firearms quotas? I believe in him. Wang Xiaoyan nodded firmly. He must have a way. What boyfriend? Wang Ruoshui was confused as she listened. Finally, she couldn't help but ask, Little Dai, do you have a boyfriend? Why? Didn't my dad tell you? Wang Xiaoyan also felt a little strange. Could it be that Good's matter was too rushed, and my father hadn't told my aunt about Yang Ming's matter? Wang Ruoshui shook her head. No, why do you have a boyfriend? What's going on? Didn't you come home this time to get engaged? Previously, Wang Ruoshui felt a little puzzled when she heard Wang Songshan's words because Wang Songhan also mentioned breaking off the engagement and giving her a way out. However, Wang Ruoshui thought that she didn't hear it clearly, so she didn't delve into it. But at this moment, she heard her niece say these two words clearly again, and she was shocked. Engagement. Wang Xiaoyan glanced at her father suspiciously. Seeing that her father's expression was normal, she secretly sighed in relief. She was afraid that her father would use the reason of breaking off the engagement to deceive her. In fact, he wanted her to get engaged. However, seeing that her father didn't have any evasive expression at this moment, Wang Xiaoyan knew that her father must have had no time to tell her aunt in detail. Presumably, the family was already in a terrible mess because of Good and the Lancer family. And, in fact, I already have a boyfriend outside. This time, I'm here to get engaged in name, but in fact, I'm here to break off the engagement. Wang Xiaoyan explained. What? Break off the engagement? Two black lines suddenly appeared on Wang Ruoshui's forehead. Does my niece have the same thoughts? Then, wasn't it unnecessary for me to force Fang Tian's disciple to get engaged? Am I not being a busybody? Since both of them want to break off the engagement, why should I stop them? Thinking of this, Wang Ruoshui couldn't help but raise her head and glare fiercely at Wang Songshan. He must know about this matter. Why didn't he tell me before? Wouldn't it be embarrassing for me to force the old man's little disciple to compete with me? Chapter 14:23. Yes, I have discussed it with my father, and he agreed with my choice. So, I came home this time to break off the engagement. Wang Xiaoyan saw that her father did not refute, so she explained in detail. Father said that this marriage was decided by the elders, and both sides are very famous families in the assassin world. So, if we break off the engagement, no matter which side proposes it, it is inappropriate and will be seen as a joke. So, Father means to call me and the apprentice of the King of Assassins, arrange for us to meet and talk about it. This way, we can tell the public that both of us feel that it is inappropriate, and no one will say anything. It turns out to be like this. Wang Ruoshui nodded after listening. Wang Xiaoyan's words are indeed very reasonable, but why didn't Wang Songshan tell me beforehand? Let me make a fool of myself for no reason. No wonder that kid repeatedly claimed that he came to break off the engagement. Sure enough, it seems that my niece doesn't have that intention. There is no value in forcing this marriage. Ruoshue, you just came back yesterday. Old man Fong and I were very excited, so we didn't have time to tell you about this. Wang Songshan pondered for a long time and finally said, then, Good's incident happened. You know what happened after that. We are all worried about this matter, and we don't have the mood to think about Yen Yen. That's true. Wang Ruoshue was relieved after listening to Wang Songshan's explanation. His explanation is reasonable. Not to mention him, even for myself, when I saw Yang Ming this morning, didn't I temporarily put aside the idea of competing with him? How can I have the mood to deal with other things when the family is facing a crisis? Thinking of this, Wang Ruoshue did not blame Wang Songshan. She just smiled embarrassedly. It seems that I have to explain it to that kid. So, Yen Yen, as for the method you said, let's put it aside first. If it really doesn't work, how about we borrow the power of your little boyfriend? Wang Songshan hesitated and said. Although he didn't think that Yang Ming had any other ideas, no matter what, Wang Xiaoyan had good intentions. If he directly refused, Wang Xiaoyan would be very uncomfortable in her heart. All right then. Wang Xiaoyan was clearly dissatisfied with her father's words. It seemed that her father still didn't believe in Yang Ming's ability. This made Wang Xiaoyan, who worshipped Yang Ming, feel somewhat sad. However, since her father had said so, Wang Xiaoyan didn't insist anymore. Anyway, it wouldn't affect the butterfly family much sooner or later. The Lancer family's influence on the butterfly family was long-term, but it wouldn't affect them in the near future. Therefore, it wouldn't be too late to find Yang Ming for help when her father had no other choice. Thinking about it, as an elder, if his father were to ask Yang Ming for help in this matter, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? This also indirectly proved that his vision wasn't as good as hers, right? This was where Wang Xiaoyan was wrong. Although Wang Songshan was an elder, the main reason why he didn't ask Yang Ming for help was that he had already asked Yang Ming about asking the Charles family for help. Yang Ming had already made it very clear at that time, and Wang Songshan also understood the importance of this. He naturally didn't think that Yang Ming was deceiving him. After all, he was also the family master of an assassin family. He knew that every family supply of firearms was almost limited, and it was impossible to buy unlimited. Therefore, he didn't have much hope after Yang Ming denied his proposal. He didn't know that the Charles family was only one of Yang Ming's many trump cards. Even if Yang Ming didn't have a trump card like the old Buffon family, he could still force the Lancer family to change their mind. The great assassin Yang was different from the assassins of the Butterfly family. Under the tight security of the Lancer family, others might be helpless, but the great assassin Yang had special abilities. Although it wasn't easy to take Thomas's life while avoiding those guards, it was not impossible. In the face of a perverted guy like the great assassin Yang, Thomas had to give in even if he was unwilling. He could either agree or die. It was impossible to fool the great assassin Yang. If the great assassin Yang could come in once, he could come in a second time. When the great assassin Yang found out that he had been fooled, it would probably be the end of Thomas. The great assassin Yang was so fearless because of his own strength. In the face of absolute strength, a behemoth like the Lancer family had no room to fight back. Although Wang Xiaoyan was somewhat unwilling and dissatisfied with her father's underestimation of Yang Ming, since her father had said so, Wang Xiaoyan had no other choice. She left the study and walked to her room. After Wang Xiaoyan left, Wang Ruoxue frowned and glared at Wang Songshan. "Brother, what is the meaning of you and the surname Fang? Why didn't you tell me about breaking off the engagement? I forced that kid to marry Little Butterfly yesterday. Aren't you just waiting to see me make a fool of myself?" This. Wang Songshan smiled bitterly. Sure enough, this matter was not over. Wang Ruoxue didn't get angry on the spot when Wang Xiaoyan was at the side, but she couldn't help it when Wang Xiaoyan left. "What is this? Don't use the reason that you were all very agitated and good came to brush me off." Wang Ruoxue directly interrupted Wang Songshan's words and said, "Brother, are you hiding something from me?" It had to be said that a woman's sixth sense was often very accurate. Although Wang Songshan didn't say anything, Wang Ruoxue was still keenly aware of something. Wang Songshan saw that Wang Ruoxue had vaguely guessed something and couldn't help but sigh. It seems that things can't be hidden. Even if I don't say it, when Wang Ruoxue asks Fang Tian, that kid will definitely say whatever he wants. Wang Songshan was 100% sure of this. Fang Tian wasn't a person with a big mouth. On the contrary, as a professional assassin, he had a very good principle of confidentiality. However, that also depended on who he was dealing with. She believed that if this sister of hers were to ask Fang Tian would definitely spill everything. Wang Songshan was very clear about this old guy's feelings for Wang Ruoxue, so it was impossible to expect Fang Tian to keep it a secret in front of Wang Ruoxue. Instead of letting Fang Tian tell Wang Ruoxue, it was better to tell Wang Ruoxue himself. Otherwise, if his sister knew the truth from Fang Tian, it was hard to guarantee that she wouldn't find trouble with him later. Instead of that, it was better to tell the truth. "Ruoxue, what did you see?" Wang Songshan hesitated and asked. "Isn't this nonsense? If I didn't see something, why would I ask you?" Wang Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Wang Songshan. "Brother, why do I find that you are stuttering now? Can't you just say it straightforwardly?" "It's not that I'm stuttering, but this matter." Wang Songshan's old face blushed. "It's really a bit shameful to say it." "Shameful? What do you mean?" Wang Ruoxue frowned as soon as she heard it. You didn't do anything dishonorable, right? It's not dishonorable, it's just a bit, haha, I just wanted to joke with little Dai. Wang Songshan laughed awkwardly. Joke? What joke? Was the cancellation of the engagement a joke? What you really plan to do is still the engagement? Wang Ruoxue frowned and asked. More or less. Wang Songshan nodded. Since Wang Ruoxue guessed correctly, he did not hide it. What? You lied to little Dai. Wang Ruoxue was suddenly a little unhappy. Looking at the situation now, little Dai obviously has feelings for her boyfriend. Do you want to break them up? Wang Ruoxue was the one who forced the marriage before, and now Wang Ruoxue was also the one who opposed it. Women were always fickle, not for anything else, but for her niece's happiness. Since her niece already had a sweetheart, she would only fully support it. How could she still destroy it? So after listening to Wang Songshan's words, Wang Ruoxue immediately misunderstood, so she was unhappy. It's not breaking them up. Wang Songshan quickly waved his hand. Ruoxue, you misunderstood. Misunderstood? How did I misunderstand? Wang Ruoxue asked, didn't you admit it before? This time it's not a cancellation of the engagement, but an engagement. I admitted it. It's not a cancellation of the engagement, but an engagement. It's not wrong, but the person I'm getting engaged to this time is Yanyan's boyfriend. Wang Songshan was afraid that Wang Ruoxue would be angry, so he quickly explained in one breath. Chapter 1424. Yanyan's boyfriend. Wang Ruoxue looked at Wang Songshan puzzledly. Isn't she going to be engaged to the disciple of Fang Tian this time? How did he become Yanyan's boyfriend? Could it be that the two are going on at the same time? Wang Songshan saw that Wang Ruoxue still didn't understand, so he smiled and waved his hand. Ruoxue, in fact, this is the case. Yanyan's boyfriend is Old Man Fang's disciple, and Old Man Fang's disciple is Yanyan's boyfriend, Yang Ming. What? Wang Ruoxue was confused by Wang Songshan's words. She didn't know what was going on. What kind of mess is this? How did Yanyan's boyfriend become Fang Tian's disciple? In this case, why is there still a need to cancel the engagement? Indeed, it was difficult for an outsider like Wang Ruoxue to understand the complicated relationship. Brother, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand a word? It's normal that you don't understand. Wang Songshan said in his heart. It seems that I have to confess. Otherwise, with Wang Ruoxue's temperament, she will definitely ask until the end. This matter is a long story. In the beginning, Yanyan's marriage was decided by our father. In other words, it was a marriage that was difficult to change. However, as Yanyan gradually grew up and matured, she showed a very strong resistance when she knew about this engagement. She didn't want to marry someone she had never met before. The two of them didn't have any feelings for each other, so how could they have a common language when they live together in the future? Although it can be said that they are in the same industry, it doesn't mean that they can get along well or even fall in love in the end. This is what Yanyan couldn't accept the most, so she proposed an agreement with me. That is, let her leave the family alone and go to China to study. During this period, she will establish an assassin organization. If this assassin organization surpasses our butterfly family and becomes the world's #1 assassin organization, then I will agree to her canceling the engagement. Otherwise, she will go home and get married. Yanyan and I both agreed to this agreement, but in my opinion, it is already impossible for her to establish such a huge assassin organization alone. It is even more impossible for her to become the world's #1 assassin organization. It's true. Wang Ruoxue couldn't help but nod after listening to Wang Songshan's words. However, brother, don't you think that your request is a bit too much? Our butterfly family also has hundreds of years of foundation before we finally manage to reach such a scale. Isn't it whimsical to ask my niece to create a world-class assassin organization in just a few years? Isn't this a bit too much? It's obviously unfair, very unfair. It was no wonder that Wang Songshan's end-to-end, it could even foresee that in the end, would definitely win end. Would SSSS end. To the end, 2's to S to 2 was certain, it. After all, the butterfly family was already at the top of the assassin families. It was basically impossible to surpass the butterfly family in one leap. No matter what, Feng Tian was a lone ranger. No matter how powerful he was still a lone hero. He wasn't a family, so he wouldn't be a threat to the butterfly family. Therefore, excluding Feng Tian, the butterfly family was the number one among all the assassin families. In other words, as long as the butterfly family firmly held the number one position among the assassin families, then it would be impossible for Wang Xiaoyan to surpass the butterfly family with a newly established assassin organization. Which of the assassin families ranked behind the butterfly family didn't want to go further? Take the Charles family as an example. Over the years, he had always wanted to surpass the butterfly family, but he didn't manage to do it in the end. After reaching such a peak strength, it was undoubtedly difficult to go further. How could it be so easy? Therefore, Wang Songshan didn't believe that Wang Xiaoyan could realize her dream. In fact, with the Black Widow assassin group established by Wang Xiaoyan a few years ago, it would be extremely difficult for it to be ranked in the top 100 assassin families, let alone become the world's first-class assassin group. If Wang Xiaoyan hadn't founded that kind of small, mediocre organization, Wang Songshan wouldn't even notice them. He didn't even bother to pay attention to them. However, because the Black Widow assassin group was established by Wang Xiaoyan, Wang Songshan had to pay attention to it from the beginning. But the result of his attention made him disappointed. How is this an assassin group? It's just like children playing house. It's even worse than what I expected. This isn't just not mainstream, it's simply too not mainstream. After observing that the Black Widow assassin group had accepted several missions, Wang Songshan didn't have much hope for the Black Widow assassin group. How is this an assassin group? Is it simply taking revenge on the company? They accept missions to break legs, hands, and teach people a lesson. This is simply the same as those small, not mainstream organizations. Little did he know that the Butterfly Assassin Group was the same when it was first established. No assassin group could be very big at the beginning. With Wang Xiaoyan's own efforts, she had established such an organization from scratch. It was already very good. Without strong strength and a wide range of connections, how could such a small assassin group accept missions? Who would be willing to entrust missions to such a small assassin group? To survive, with the current strength of the Black Widow assassin group, they could only take on the business of teaching people a lesson. As for the mission of killing people, there were definitely very few of them. Except for some local people who would come to hire them, it was impossible to take on a transnational mission. Ruoxue, you also know that when father set this engagement, it's not something we can change. Wang Songshan said helplessly, it's unfair. This is a fact, but even so, Yan accepted it. Since we have accepted it, then there is no such thing as fairness. If Yan really thinks it's unfair, she can totally not accept it. Not accept it. Wang Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Wang Songshan. The result of not accepting it is to accept this engagement, and there is always a glimmer of hope if you accept it. Is this still fair? My niece must have no other way and accepted your proposal as a last resort. Wang Songshan suddenly blushed and said embarrassedly, I also have no other way, right? Just take it as a chance for her to try. Well, let's put this matter aside for the time being. However, what I want to know is, how did my niece's boyfriend become the apprentice of that guy surnamed Fong? Wang Ruoxue looked at Wang Songshan strangely. That Yang Ming. The Yang Ming who ate with us. Yes, it's him. Wang Songshan nodded with a bitter smile. This thing is a bit unbelievable, but it happened. It really makes people feel that the world is really small. You mean to say that those two people are actually the same person? Wang Ruoxue somewhat understood Wang Songshan's meaning. In other words, Yan Yan found a boyfriend, but this boyfriend is Fong Tian's apprentice, Yan Yan's own engagement partner. Wang Ruoxue was also confused by Wang Songshan's words. Yan Yan, niece, and Xiao Dai, but they both knew who he was referring to, so they did not seem confused. And that's probably what it means. Wang Songshan nodded. Otherwise, how could I let them be together without interfering? So, Yan Yan still doesn't know the truth of this matter. Wang Ruoxue suddenly frowned. So you promised Yan Yan that you could break off the engagement just to make her happy. I think you're pretending to be a good person here. After being questioned by Wang Ruoxue, Wang Songshan's face suddenly changed between green and white. He was extremely embarrassed. I don't want to hurt my relationship with Yan Yan. Hurt your relationship? You pretending to be a good person is secondary. The key problem is that you still haven't told Yan Yan the truth. What are your intentions? Wang Ruoxue frowned again when she said this. No, judging from Yang Ming's attitude yesterday and today, he doesn't seem to know about this matter. If he knew that his fiancée was Yan Yan, would he still want to break off the engagement? How come Yan Yan doesn't know and he doesn't know? What kind of mess are you and that idiot Fong Tian doing? What are you two doing? Chapter 14:25. The two of us just wanted to play a joke with the two juniors. Wang Songshan's expression was very ashamed. After all, it was indeed a bit shameful to mention this in front of his sister. He and Fong Tian were not young anymore, but they actually played tricks with the juniors. This would make Wang Ruoxue laugh her head off. Just playing a joke. Wang Ruoxue now fully understood the meaning of these two old guys. They were really shameless and disrespectful. It was simply too shameless. They could even do this kind of thing. I was wondering why both of them were in such a hurry to break off the engagement. It turned out that they already had someone in mind, but they still didn't know that the person they were engaged to was the person they liked. I say, Wang Songshan, my dear brother, have you become muddle-headed? Is it fun to play like this? Cough cough. Wang Songshan coughed twice awkwardly. Of course, we didn't want to do it. It's just that these two little guys have a bad temper. Not only did Yan Yan want to break off the engagement, but old man Fong's disciple also didn't like it after knowing about the engagement and wanted to break it off. So since both of you want to break off the engagement, then fine. Old man Fong and I will fulfill your wish. When the two of you meet, let's see what kind of expression you have. Oh. So that's the case. Wang Ruoxue listened to Wang Songshan's explanation and nodded with interest. So, these two little guys resisted first, so you wanted to punish them slightly. It is indeed so. Otherwise, why would we do this when both of them have feelings for each other? Wang Songshan quickly nodded and said. But there was one thing that Wang Songshan didn't say. That was, in this case, why didn't he and Fong Tian tell Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan earlier that they were each other's engagement partners? Wouldn't this save a lot of trouble and the two of them wouldn't resist? Since there were so many opportunities before, why didn't they make things clear? But it was just a matter of a sentence, right? Of course, it was impossible for Wang Songshan to confess these. Wang Ruoxue would definitely scold him again. Now that he saw that Wang Ruoshui was no longer pursuing the matter, Wang Songshan was relieved. You too. Wang Ruoshui sighed. Although this method isn't very commendable, there's nothing wrong with teaching these two children a lesson. Yeah, do you think so too? Wang Songshan was very happy to see Wang Ruoshui agree. If it were normal times, this matter would indeed be quite interesting, but now... Wang Ruoshui smiled bitterly. Now that the enemy is in front of us and the family is in danger, how can we still have the mood to play these? Wang Songshan also nodded with a bitter smile after listening. No one thought that good would intervene. Man proposes, God disposes. It was supposed to be a happy event, but now... Sigh. In the end, I was too impulsive yesterday. Wang Ruoshui said remorsefully, if I wasn't so impulsive, Good wouldn't have dared to attack our butterfly family even if he had designs on Yan Yan. There needs to be a reason and an excuse for everything. I just happened to give him this excuse. Sigh, if I had known this would happen, I would have persuaded him nicely and sent this Good away. Then, we wouldn't have come to this stage where we can't tolerate each other like fire and water. Not necessarily. Wang Songshan waved his hand. Even if you didn't take action, with Good's temper, would he just watch Yan Yan get engaged? I think it's 80% impossible. At that time, he would definitely use some tricks against our butterfly family and force us to compromise. Now that Good has used this trick, it doesn't matter even if you didn't slap him. It won't be criticized by others. Wang Ruoshui nodded. Indeed, Wang Songshan was right. Even if she didn't take action, if Good was really interested in Wang Xiaoyan, then he would never give up. The trouble from the Lancer family was a matter of time. It was just a matter of time. Thinking of this, Wang Ruoshui's heart felt a little better. After all, if the family's disaster was caused by her, then how could Wang Ruoshui feel good in her heart? She had just returned home and brought trouble to the family. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have come back. You're right. As long as Yan Yan gets engaged, Good will use these tricks sooner or later. Wang Ruoshui sighed. I didn't expect our butterfly family to be so fragile and inexperienced. A Lancer family can decide our fate. It's not unusual for one person to decide success or failure. It has happened since ancient times. Wang Songshan sighed. I just didn't expect that the butterfly family would decline in my generation. Dang dang dang. Before Wang Ruoshui could speak, there was a knock on the door of the study. Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui chose to shut up at the same time. The topic they had discussed before was not suitable to be talked about in front of others, especially the matter of making things difficult for the younger generation. Who is it? Wang Songshan asked. Butler Mu and Wang Xiaoyan had just left not long ago. Could it be that Fang Tian, that fellow, had returned? It's me, Yang Ming. The great assassin Yang called old Buffon in the room. After confirming that old Buffon had the ability to solve this matter, the great assassin Yang quickly came to negotiate with Wang Ruoshui. With this bargaining chip in hand, he believed that Wang Ruoshui would not insist on fighting with him. Moreover, he had helped the butterfly family once. It could be considered that he had repaid the previous training here. He and the butterfly family were considered to be even. Yang Ming. Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui were stunned at the same time and looked at each other. He came just when we mentioned him. I don't know why he came at this time. It turns out to be little friend Yang Ming. Wang Songshan made a gesture to Wang Ruoshui, indicating that she should be patient. Then, he said to the door in a friendly manner, the door is not locked. Come in directly. Yang Ming did not use his special ability to detect the situation in the study room beforehand because he felt that it was unnecessary. His special ability could only be used when necessary to bring him some benefits. If he used it all the time, this special ability would be too worthless. What's more, he couldn't always rely on his special ability to live. There was no need to be cautious at all times. After pushing open the door, Yang Ming saw that Wang Ruoxue was also in the room. Yang Ming was suddenly delighted. Originally, he decided to first find Wang Songshan to help them solve the problem in front of them. Then, he would mention the matter of breaking off the engagement to let him be responsible for dealing with Wang Ruoxue. It would be fine as long as he was not forced to fight. However, he didn't expect Wang Ruoxue to be here too. This saved a lot of trouble. He could just say it directly. He believed that Wang Ruoxue would definitely not refuse at this time. He didn't need Wang Songshan to inform her to avoid complications. Uncle Wang, Senior Wang Ruoxue, you are all here. Yang Ming greeted the two of them politely, then entered the room and closed the door again. Little friend Yang Ming, what's the matter with you coming here? Wang Songshan looked at Yang Ming suspiciously. He didn't know why he came here at this time. Wang Ruoxue no longer had those dissatisfied expressions with Yang Ming because she knew the truth of the matter. Instead, there was a hint of gentleness in her eyes. If it weren't for the family's crisis that had not been resolved, Wang Ruoxue would definitely welcome him with a smile. Uncle Wang, I came here this time to talk to you about a deal. Since Yang Ming had decided to break off the engagement, then this matter had nothing to do with the butterfly family. Therefore, he didn't want to beat around the bush anymore. He simply said his purpose straightforwardly and didn't care if he appeared here as a junior. Chapter 14:26. Deal. Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoxue were both stunned after listening to Yang Ming's words. Why did Yang Ming come here to talk to them about a deal at this time? What the hell is going on here? Yes, deal. Yang Ming nodded affirmatively. I don't know if the two seniors are free. Previously, after Wang Ruoxue listened to Wang Songshan's explanation, her previous malice towards Yang Ming had disappeared. She knew that he had come to cancel the engagement purely because he had been set up by Wang Songshan and Fang Tian. Therefore, she was not prepared to make unreasonable requests such as a martial arts competition. This was because she felt that Yang Ming was really pitiful. He had been set up by the two old guys and still didn't know it. He actually wanted to cancel the engagement and was threatened by her martial arts competition. It was really tragic. Therefore, when Yang Ming came in, Wang Ruoxue had an impulse to tell the truth to Yang Ming. Even if she didn't tell the truth, she would first cancel the meaningless martial arts competition so that Yang Ming wouldn't be worried. However, before Wang Ruoxue could speak, Yang Ming spoke first and vowed to talk about a deal with her and Wang Songshan. This made Wang Ruoxue temporarily put the previous thoughts behind her and quietly wait for what Yang Ming wanted to say. Oh. Little friend Yang Ming, what kind of deal do you want to make with me? Wang Songshan looked at Yang Ming with interest. He really didn't understand why Yang Ming chose to come here at this time. My deal is very simple. Yang Ming didn't beat around the bush and said directly and sincerely, I will help the butterfly family solve the trouble of the Lancer family. Then I will ask Uncle Wang and Senior Wang Ruoxue to fulfill my request to cancel the engagement. As for the martial arts competition, you can also cancel it. Can you solve the problem? Wang Songshan looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. Previously, Yang Ming had said that there was no way. Moreover, Wang Songshan also knew a little about Yang Ming's background. Except for the cooperation with the Charles family, Yang Ming's other resources belonged to Fang Tian. If Fang Tian had no way, what could Yang Ming do? Is it possible for the Charles family to give all their firearms to the butterfly family and share them with both families? However, Yang Ming's transaction conditions made Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoxue dumbfounded. After solving the problem, the only condition was to break off the engagement. Isn't this too dramatic? Even though the family was in trouble now, it was still uncertain whether Yang Ming could solve the problem, but Wang Ruoshui really wanted to laugh. There was no other reason. Yang Ming had tried so hard to break off the engagement. In the end, if he knew that the person he was breaking off the engagement with was Wang Xiaoyan, who knew how he would feel? Wang Ruoshui really felt sorry for Yang Ming. Wasn't this equivalent to toying with people? He was even toyed with until there was nothing left of him. Thinking of this, Wang Ruoshui couldn't help but look at Yang Ming with some pity. However, Great Assassin Yang was still unaware and nodded. As long as Senior agrees to this Junior's request, then leave this matter to me. Are you sure that you can solve the problem from the Lancer family? Wang Songshan still didn't believe that Yang Ming had this ability. You know, the Lancer family is one of the top families in European upper-class society. It can be said that it is extremely difficult to make them change their mind. If their conditions are not met, how can they change their mind? That's right. Could it be that you mean to let my niece marry good, and then you can smoothly break off the engagement? Wang Ruoshui also looked at Yang Ming with some surprise. How is it possible? Yang Ming suddenly smiled bitterly and touched his nose. Senior Wang Ruoshui, isn't your imagination too rich? If I do this, what kind of deal is it? That's true. Wang Ruoshui saw that she had misunderstood and was a little embarrassed. Then, if that's not the case, how can you make the Lancer family change their mind? When did I say that I want to make the Lancer family change their mind? Yang Ming looked at Wang Ruoshui and Wang Songshan, dumbfounded. Why do these two always like to figure out other people's thoughts? And they figure it out wrong. Yang Ming was a little speechless. Can these two people have a little patience to listen to me finish speaking? Don't let the Lancer family change their mind. Wang Songshan didn't understand this time. Since the Lancer family doesn't want to change their mind, what can be done to solve the Butterfly family's current crisis? Uncle Wang, you don't think that only the Lancer family supplies firearms in Europe, right? Yang Ming said, you can't be so stubborn. There are so many choices. Why do you have to keep an eye on the Lancer family? You mean, to open a new supply channel? Wang Songshan was overjoyed after hearing Yang Ming's words. You have a channel. I do, but I don't know if you are satisfied. Yang Ming paused and said, I can only get special firearms from one firearms factory. I can't get all of them. One factory. Which one? Wang Songshan asked quickly. At this moment, not to mention one factory, even half of them would be fine. It was good to have a glimmer of hope. How could he be picky? It's the firearms factory that supplies the Lancer family. Yang Ming said, I have some friendship with it, so I can basically guarantee you the goods you can get from the Lancer family. The factory that supplies the Lancer family. Isn't that the Buffon family? Wang Songshan was stunned and showed a surprised expression. Yang Ming, you mean you know the Buffon family? Yang Ming nodded slowly. No matter what, this Wang Songshan is still the head of the family. How can he be so lacking in depth? Just the Buffon family alone was enough to make him lose his composure like this. I don't know what Uncle Wang thinks of my deal. Asked Yang Ming. If you can really bypass the Lancer family and contact the Buffon family directly, then it is of course a good thing, but... Wang Songshan hesitated as he said this. Obviously, he had not been blinded by excitement. He had become very careful these 2 days. According to my team, the Lancer family's patriarch has a good relationship with the previous patriarch of the Buffon family. Although the previous patriarch of the Buffon family has passed away, the Buffon family should not easily offend the Lancer family, right? Wang Songshan sighed. Won't offend. Yang Ming sneered faintly, didn't that old bastard Thomas say it? The Buffon family's firearms factory has reduced the firearms quota for the Lancer family. How can you believe it? Wang Songhan smiled bitterly after listening to Yang Ming's ignorant words. That's just an excuse for Thomas of the Lancer family to make trouble for us. He just wants to take the opportunity to blackmail the Butterfly family and make me agree to the marriage between my daughter and Good. It can't be taken seriously. Wang Ruoshui also frowned. This Yang Ming can't be so naive, right? How can he believe this? If this is the case, then it seems that there is no hope for him to solve the Butterfly family's problem. Is it an excuse? Yang Ming curled his lips and said with some contempt, maybe his dream will come true soon. Dream come true? Wang Songhan suddenly frowned. What do you mean by dream come true? Do you really want me to marry my daughter to Good? No. Uncle Wang, you misunderstood what I meant. Yang Ming chuckled. What I meant when I said that his dream would come true was the reduction of the quota of firearms that he said. His dream will come true soon. Since he wants to reduce the Buffon family's supply to him so much, then we will fulfill his wish. Fulfill his wish. Wang Songhan suddenly showed a shocked expression. Yang Ming's words were not small at all. It was extremely arrogant. Yang Ming could actually reduce the Lancer family's firearms supply. Is this possible? Wang Songhan only felt that he was dreaming now. Isn't this Yang Ming's boasting too much? It's simply unrealistic. Wang Ruoshui also felt the same. She only felt that Yang Ming's boasting was about to reach the heavens. Yes, we will fulfill his wish. Yang Ming nodded. Since we are buying firearms directly from the Buffon family, the total number of firearms is limited. Since they are selling to us, they naturally have to reduce the share of other dealers. Then, whose share should we reduce? Naturally, the Lancer family is the most suitable. Chapter 14:27. Yang Ming's words made Wang Songhan and Wang Ruoshui dumbfounded. Yang Ming is too daring. How can the Buffon family listen to Yang Ming's orders? The Buffon family is the largest family in Europe. How can they do whatever Yang Ming tells them to do? Is the person Yang Ming knows his son or someone related to him? This is not a trivial matter. It's impossible for him to listen to orders, right? Moreover, the person Yang Ming knows is an important person in the Buffon family. The Buffon family also has several elders. Above the elders is the family master, old Buffon. Even if that person wants to help Yang Ming, it is impossible to ask for the consent of so many people at the same time, right? It must be known that this was not an ordinary matter. This involved the friendship between the previous family master and the Lancer family. It was not something that could be changed with just a word from anyone. Therefore, Wang Songhan and Wang Ruoshui didn't believe Yang Ming's nonsense at all. They didn't believe that Yang Ming had this ability. It is possible that Yang Ming knows an important person in the Buffon family, but it is impossible for Yang Ming to use the Buffon family to deal with the Lancer family. Yang Ming, your words are a bit too much. Wang Songhan finally couldn't help but say, we don't ask for revenge on the Lancer family. We just want to guarantee the supply of firearms to the Butterfly family. Yang Ming looked at the trembling Wang Songhan. After a long while, he finally sighed helplessly, but there was some disdain in his eyes. Uncle Wang, I thought that you are a responsible man as the family master of the Butterfly family. I didn't expect you to be so timid at this moment. You are being bullied by others, but you don't even dare to resist. Even if you have a chance to resist, you have to take the initiative to give up. Wang Songshan's face turned ugly when he was ridiculed by a junior. He thought, you really don't know how to speak. If I had such great strength, who wouldn't want to take revenge? But now, the Butterfly family is obviously evenly matched with the Lancer family, and is even slightly weaker. It is absolutely unwise to become enemies with the Lancer family in this situation. Little friend Yang Ming, you don't have to provoke me. Wang Songshan took a deep breath, and his mood calmed down a lot. A real man has an indomitable spirit. If there is enmity, you naturally have to take revenge, but you also have to have the strength. If you have the strength to take revenge, you are pretentious. If you don't take revenge, you are stupid. I don't think I need to explain this to you. You should understand it, right? Now, how is it possible to compete with the Lancer family's strength? We family has a family. But who can guarantee that the Lancer family does not have any life-saving trumps? As a family with hundreds of years of history, they have cultivated a group of their own forces. So, if we act rashly, it is likely to become a lose-lose situation. The butterfly family will be even more miserable. Wang Songshan was not afraid that Yang Ming would laugh at him, so he spoke his views and thoughts truthfully. Yang Ming was slightly stunned after listening to Wang Songshan's words, but he immediately understood Wang Songshan's meaning. Yes. Now, I always look at the problem with my own ideas, but I never look at the problem from Wang Songshan's point of view. Indeed, if you have the strength, you are pretentious. If you don't have the strength, you are just stupid. Didn't I choose to endure when I didn't have the strength to deal with Wang Jitao? Until the day I can take him down. Now that I think about it, although it hasn't been long, not even a year, it feels like a lifetime ago. My strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and I haven't been afraid of anyone for a long time. Now that I am reminded by Wang Songshan, I also understand that my point of view is different from Wang Songshan's. My strength is also different. So, Wang Songshan is timid, but great assassin Yang is unscrupulous. Uncle Wang, you are right. Yang Ming nodded. However, I have to give this sentence to the Lancer family as it is. They can only be pretentious in front of me if they have the strength. But now it seems that their family is stupid. If Yang Ming was extremely arrogant before, it would be excusable. The ignorant are fearless. But now, after Wang Songshan's reminder, Yang Ming still didn't put the Lancer family in his eyes. This could only mean one thing. Either Yang Ming was really confident and didn't put the Lancer family in his eyes at all, or Yang Ming was a complete idiot. Of course, the second possibility was unlikely. It was possible for the disciple taught by Fang Tian to be arrogant, but it was impossible for him to be an idiot. That old guy Fang Tian was not stupid enough to accept an idiot as a disciple. Yang Ming, are you really sure? Wang Songshan took a deep breath. Finally, he had some confidence and hope at this moment. Uncle Wang, you can call the Lancer family now and ask Thomas if it is true that his firearms quota has been reduced. Yang Ming nodded and said. Oh. Why are you asking this? Is there any meaning? Wang Songshan didn't understand Yang Ming's approach. Of course. Yang Ming looked at Wang Songshan with a smirk. In a while, Thomas's quota may really be reduced. His dream will come true. Of course, we have to squeeze him in advance. Wang Songshan listened to Yang Ming's words and finally understood Yang Ming's meaning. Yang Ming wants to make Thomas feel uncomfortable. This brat was simply rotten to the core. If Thomas's quota was really reduced soon after he made this call, this old fellow would probably cry to death. However, how could he be so confident? Although Wang Songshan also felt that this was a very cool thing to do, if it was successful, it was simply a way to vent the anger in his heart. However, what if Yang Ming can't do it? Then, wouldn't he have lost all his face to his grandmother's house? Yang Ming, can the person you know from the Buffon family really have the final say? Wang Songshan was still a little worried. Of course, he has the final say. Yang Ming saw that Wang Songshan was so careful and was a little dumbfounded. Uncle Wang, there is a chance for revenge in front of you anyway. Whether you can seize it or not depends on you. Okay. I'll call. Wang Songshan gritted his teeth. How can there be benefits without taking risks? Besides, even if Yang Ming doesn't fulfill his words in the end, what can I do if I lose face? Haven't I lost enough face before? This time won't make a difference. At this time, Wang Ruoxue had less doubts and more doubts. She didn't speak but lowered her head and pondered on something. This was because she remembered what Wang Xiaoyan said before. Wang Xiaoyan said very firmly that Yang Ming should have a way to solve this matter. At that time, neither she nor Wang Songshan cared. But now, Yang Ming took the initiative to look for her and said that he could solve this matter. What does this mean? Could it be that Yang Ming can really help the butterfly family get through this difficult time? It should be. Wang Ruoxue didn't know why, but suddenly, she had an inexplicable confidence in Yang Ming. On the other side, Wang Songshan's phone had also been dialed. The person who answered the phone was Thomas, the family master of the Lancer family. Family Master Wang, have you thought it through? Thomas saw that the phone call was from the butterfly family, so he asked directly. It's me. Wang Songshan organized his words. Of course, he knew how to squeeze people. Since he had decided, he could let go. Family Master Thomas, as far as I know, the Buffon family did not reduce your family's firearms quota. Oh. Is that so? Thomas suddenly frowned and scolded in his heart. Damn it, you old man. Can't you even tell that this is an excuse? However, since the words were out in the open, Thomas naturally couldn't say it directly. He could only say, how do you know? Who doesn't have a few friends? Wang Songshan smiled. Family Master Thomas, since this is the case, do you think we should resume our cooperation? Resume. Thomas was stunned. He thought, aren't you too whimsical, old man? He snorted and said directly, where did you find out about the decision of the Buffon family's upper management? This is their family's latest decision. It hasn't been spread out yet, so you definitely don't know. Chapter 1428. Is that so? Then, I wish your dream come true. Wang Songshan also thought it through at this moment. Anyway, things have reached an irreconcilable point. So what if I'm awesome? This time, I'll be so happy if I can do the right thing to you. If I can't, then I'll just accept it. So, Wang Songshan also threw caution to the wind. However, don't regret it after your dream comes true. My relationship with the Buffon family is not for you to worry about. Thomas was furious after listening to Wang Songshan's words. He scolded, Wang Songshan, listen to me. Today is the second day of the 5-day deadline. You can decide for yourself. Really? Your Lancer family's share is about to be reduced, and you're still so proud. It seems that you're really open-minded. Wang Songshan sneered, I really admire you. Thomas was so angry that his teeth itched, but he said in his heart, don't be proud here. You'll cry in a few days. He snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. He hung up the phone directly. Wang Songshan listened to the busy tone from the phone, smiled bitterly, and put the phone back. Although Wang Songshan was tit-for-tat with Thomas on the phone just now, in fact, he didn't have confidence in his heart. He was just acting like a crossbow for Thomas to see. His face darkened as soon as he hung up the phone. Little friend Yang Ming, I called the Lancer family's family master Thomas as you said. Now, our butterfly family has completely broken off with the Lancer family. It has become irreparable. You must give me a definite answer. This time, can you help us get through this crisis? Uncle Wang, you're wrong, right? Yang Ming smiled faintly. You and the Lancer family have broken off since yesterday. How can you talk about breaking off now? There is no room for redemption. Even if you didn't make this call, do you still expect the Lancer family to be merciful? Wang Songshan couldn't help but blush after listening to Yang Ming's words. He was a little embarrassed, that's true. Little friend Yang Ming, let's not talk about this first. Let's talk about how our butterfly family will get through this difficult time. Isn't it already over? Yang Ming smiled strangely and immediately understood that Wang Songshan was still not at ease with his words. This matter was not completely over, so his heart would definitely not be at ease. But now, we haven't contacted the Buffon family yet. Wang Songshan hesitated. We can't underestimate the strength of the Lancer family. Alright, I'll call the Buffon family and settle this matter. Otherwise, I don't think Uncle Wang would let me leave. Yang Ming nodded with a smile and said, Uncle Wang, let me borrow the phone in your room. Okay. Wang Songshan quickly smiled and said, please. Nonsense, Yang Ming was doing something for him. How could Wang Songshan not agree to lend him a phone? Besides, he wasn't borrowing it at all. He was calling for his own family's matters. Yang Ming smiled slightly. Previously, he used the phone in his room to call. Although he also spent the butterfly family's phone bill, no one saw it. However, at this moment in Wang Songshan's room, Yang Ming naturally asked out of politeness. Yang Ming picked up the phone on Wang Songshan's desk and dialed old Buffon's private phone number. The phone was connected not long after. Old Buffon's voice sounded very respectful. Hello, who are you? Although the phone number in Wang Songshan's study was unfamiliar and old Buffon had never seen it before, Yang Ming had called old Buffon with the room's phone when he was in the guest room. Although the phone number was different from this one, the area code was the same. Therefore, old Buffon guessed that this phone call was most likely from Yang Ming. However, he was not very sure, so he did not dare to call him master directly. However, his tone was very respectful. Old Buffon, it's me, Yang Ming. Yang Ming said naturally. However, Wang Songshan was shocked when he heard the words, Old Buffon. Although this Buffon family had the surname Buffon, how many could be called Old Buffon? Wang Songshan knew that the current family master of the Buffon family was called Old Buffon by some familiar friends. However, he thought that the person talking to Yang Ming shouldn't be the family master of the Buffon family, right? According to Yang Ming's age, if he called the other party Old Buffon, then the other party only needed to be older than Yang Ming to be called Old Buffon. Therefore, Wang Songshan did not think that this Old Buffon was that Old Buffon. Master, it really is you. Old Buffon said quickly, when I saw this phone number, it seemed to be yours. Do you have any instructions? The matter I told you before, the supply of firearms to my friend's family. Is there any problem? Asked Yang Ming. Of course, there is no problem, said Old Buffon. I just called the factory and asked. There is still a lot of stock of various models. If you have any special needs, you can also place an order for me directly. And, that's good. Yang Ming nodded and felt relieved. Also, about the Lancer family, cut off their firearms supply directly. What do you think? Master, if you think it's okay, then it's okay. I'll just do it directly. You don't have to ask me. Old Buffon thought that Yang Ming was testing him, so he quickly expressed his determination. There was a saying that it was difficult to disobey a master's order. It meant that the disciple must follow the master's words. There was no room for negotiation. Therefore, old Buffon felt that it was natural for Yang Ming to ask him to do anything. There was no need to consult his opinion at all. And then let's teach the Lancer family a lesson. This family's people are so arrogant that it makes people uncomfortable. Yang Ming knew old Buffon's temperament, so he didn't say much to thank him. If he said too much, it would make old Buffon feel uncomfortable. Don't worry. In addition, I will teach them a lesson. Old Buffon immediately expressed his attitude. I want to let them know what the consequences of offending my master are. Then that's it. Wait for me here. I'll ask my friend to list the demand list for firearms. You can place an order for the factory. Yang Ming said, then see what's missing. You can help to think of a solution. Master, where are you? Old Buffon hesitated and said, I saw your phone number. It's from Europe, right? It shouldn't be far from here. I don't know if it's convenient. I'll pay you a visit. Of course, my main purpose is to pick up that order. Old Buffon was afraid that Yang Ming would be unhappy if he went to look for him, so he deliberately emphasized the order. He meant that he was doing it for business, not to bother Yang Ming. Old Buffon didn't know if Yang Ming had time to talk to him, but Yang Ming had come to Europe with great difficulty. If he didn't see him, old Buffon would feel uneasy, so he braced himself and asked. Oh. Yang Ming was stunned and understood old Buffon's meaning. However, it was rare for him to be so enthusiastic. Yang Ming didn't have anything to do, so it was good to let him come over. It could reassure old Buffon. All right, come over. I'm at the Butterfly Castle in Elo Town. Butterfly family. You should be able to find this place. Don't worry, master. I'll arrange it and take junior sister there as soon as possible. Old Buffon's excited voice immediately changed when he heard that Yang Ming agreed. Junior sister. Who is this? Yang Ming was stunned for a long time before he reacted. Who is the junior sister in old Buffon's mouth? He couldn't help but be speechless. Can't you just say bring your wife over? Junior sister. All right, then we'll talk about it when we meet. Yang Ming said, you don't have to be ruthless in your revenge against the Lancer family. However, that old bastard Thomas has a grandson named Good. Don't let him go easily. After all, Thomas had only used normal moves so far. It was understandable. Yang Ming couldn't be ruthless, but Yang Ming couldn't let Good go easily. This arrogant guy who said that he couldn't leave Elo Town, of course, Yang Ming had to teach him a lesson. Good, don't worry, master. Leave this to me. Old Buffon smiled insidiously. Isn't it easy to deal with such a person? However, what Thomas did not know was that he had been abandoned by the Buffon family. They simply did not take him seriously. It was good enough that they called to inform him. How could they expect old Buffon to personally talk to Thomas about this matter? Dream on. Of course, Thomas was still unaware of these things. He was still feeling good about himself. So now Thomas was suspicious. He suspected that this phone call was not from the Buffon family, but that someone deliberately called to find fault with him and was trying to scare him. Then, who was this person? It must be the Butterfly family. Thomas sneered when he remembered Wang Songshan's previous phone call. He couldn't win against me and was so angry that he even used such a despicable trick. It must be Wang Songshan without a doubt. Wang Songshan was sullen in his heart. He wanted to make such a call to scare me and make me scared. However, was I really so easily fooled? Thomas sneered, you can leave first. This is none of your business. Yes. The disciple had been standing there for a long time, looking at the patriarch's gloomy face, but he didn't dare to say anything. When the patriarch suddenly asked him to leave, it was as if he had been granted amnesty, so he quickly nodded and respectfully withdrew. However, Thomas was still suspicious and could not be sure. Although he felt that this matter was most likely Wang Songshan's doing, it would always be a thorn in his heart if he was not sure. It made Thomas feel uncomfortable. Thomas hesitated, picked up the phone in front of him, and dialed old Buffon's private number. After the phone rang twice, the other side picked up. It was old Buffon's cold voice. "Thomas. What's the matter?" "Buffon family master, it's me, Thomas. Can't I call you if there's nothing?" Thomas said enthusiastically. Although he didn't know why old Buffon's voice was so cold, he hadn't thought that the previous call was indeed from the Buffon family. "Nothing." "Then I'll hang up. I still have something to do," old Buffon said coldly, not giving Thomas any face. "Wait a minute." Thomas didn't understand. Why is old Buffon so angry today? What else? Old Buffon's voice was slightly impatient. "That Buffon family master, this year's firearms supply." However, Thomas was interrupted by old Buffon before he finished speaking. Chapter 1430. Didn't you receive the call before? You have been disqualified as a dealer. Old Buffon's voice was very indifferent, but it had an unquestionable majesty that left no room for doubt. Are the servants of the Lancer family so inefficient? I had already asked someone to call before. Old Buffon's words were like a sharp sword that directly stabbed into Thomas's fragile heart, making him feel breathless. "Family Master Buffon, you haven't finished joking, right? Was the previous call really from you?" Thomas thought of several possibilities and finally determined that the call was from old Buffon, but he never thought that this call would really be from old Buffon. "This is too hard for me to accept, right? It wasn't me." Old Buffon's faint words made Thomas finally breathe a sigh of relief. He thought, sure enough, it wasn't you. That's good, that's good. However, before Thomas could catch his breath, he heard old Buffon continue, "I asked the people below to call." "Why? Do you have any questions?" This. Thomas only felt his vision turn black, and he had the urge to have a cerebral hemorrhage. How is this possible? How is this possible? Thomas didn't believe this reality. Family Master Buffon, our two families have been cooperating for decades. Are you kidding? Why did you suddenly terminate the cooperation with us? I terminated it. It doesn't seem like it, right? Old Buffon said faintly, "You were the one who proposed to terminate the cooperation." "Me?" Thomas almost cried. He thought, am I stupid? Am I not a fool to propose to terminate the cooperation? I'm simply crazy. He hurriedly explained, "Patriarch Buffon, are you mistaken? Why would I make such a request? Our cooperation has always been very pleasant." "You didn't." Old Buffon snorted coldly, "I heard that you really want us to reduce the share of firearms supply to you. In that case, we might as well terminate our cooperation and fulfill your wish to make your dream come true." Reduce the share of firearms supply. Make my dream come true. Why does this sound so familiar? Thomas frowned. Suddenly, he thought of Wang Songshan's inexplicable phone call. Coupled with the word "heard" that old Buffon said, he immediately connected these two things together. Could it be because of the butterfly family? However, Thomas didn't believe that the butterfly family would have a connection with the Buffon family. If there was a connection between the two, why would the butterfly family buy firearms from me? Wouldn't it be fine to buy them directly from the Buffon family? Not only is the quantity sufficient, but the price is also cheap. One had to know that his rate of increase was more than double. Moreover, Wang Songshan carefully complimented the Lancer family carefully. If the butterfly family has such a connection, then would it be possible for Wang Songshan to do this? So, thinking of this, Thomas abandoned this absurd idea, but he had some doubts about old Buffon's words. Family Master Buffon, what do you mean by this? When did I say such a thing? Buffon, doubt, SSSTSSS is for me. Buffon, S for buffs, S is rights. S right. Could it be the butterfly family? Thomas finally couldn't help it. He racked his brain, but he couldn't think of which family he had said those words to recently. Oh. Old Buffon sneered after hearing it, it seems that you still have some self-awareness. You know who you have offended. In that case, I won't say much. Ah. Thomas just asked casually. He never thought that it was really related to the butterfly family. But is the butterfly family really related to the Buffon family? This seems unlikely, right? However, this unlikely fact was right in front of his eyes. Old Buffon had already admitted it himself, so he had no choice but to believe it. Thomas had the urge to vomit blood when he thought of this. Even if you want to toy with me, you don't have to do it like this, right? Is it fun to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger? Aren't you tricking me? This is too much. It's a bit of a loss to do this. If I had known that the butterfly family was related to the Buffon family, would I have gone to find trouble with you? I can't wait to be on good terms with you, why would I provoke you? Besides, doesn't your family have money to burn? You have connections with the Buffon family, but you don't buy firearms directly from them, but you buy them from me, a middleman. Are you mentally ill, or are you deliberately setting a trap to play with me? Thomas was really speechless at this moment. He didn't know what to say. If you had revealed a little bit of your relationship with the Buffon family yesterday, I wouldn't have made things difficult for you. Not only would I have asked Good to apologize to your family, but I would also have to supply you firearms at cost price. But. Wang Songshan, you old man, what are you up to? You whispered to me and made me think that you, a good-for-nothing, didn't have any backing, and that you were a soft persimmon that could be trampled on at will. But now, motherfucker, you have tricked me. Okay, is there anything else? Old Buffon said faintly, you're on your own now. I'm afraid this matter can't be let go. Wait, Buffon family master, don't hang up first. However, before Thomas finished speaking, old Buffon's phone had already hung up, and only a busy tone could be heard. Thomas slumped into the boss chair decadently. His previous strategizing and arrogant attitude had been swept away. Just a moment ago, he thought that the butterfly family would definitely come to plead for mercy according to his wishes and take the initiative to send Wang Xiaoyan to marry his grandson, Good. But at this moment, not only was this idea completely shattered, even the future of the Lancer family was completely ruined. Firearms sales were the Lancer family's biggest and only source of income. Before the Lancer family started dealing in firearms, they had operated many other industries. However, after establishing a relationship with the Buffon family in the past few decades, the Lancer family simply removed all other industries and concentrated on the firearms trade after seeing the huge profits from the firearms sale. After all, firearms sales were much more profitable than other sales with the same amount of manpower and material resources invested. They were not at the same level at all. The Lancer family's energy was limited, so it was better to invest the limited energy into more profitable firearms sales. So, in this way, the Lancer family was putting all their eggs in one basket. They knew that it was very dangerous to do so. Once there was a problem in this industry, the entire business chain of the Lancer family would collapse. However, under such huge profits, the Lancer family still chose to take the risk. There was a saying that was right. Capitalists could risk the guillotine for a profit margin of 300%. What's more, firearms sales were more than 300% profit. Some special firearms were even sold with a profit margin of 1000%. Driven by such huge profits, the Lancer family had long gone crazy. Why would they care about these costs? Old Buffon cutting off the Lancer family's firearms supply was equivalent to cutting off the Lancer family's only source of income. Thomas was most concerned about where the Lancer family would go in the future. Although the Lancer family had made enough money that they could squander it for a lifetime even if they did not scrimp and save, Thomas had to think about his future generations, right? They couldn't just sit around and eat, right? Moreover, once the Lancer family was disqualified as an firearms dealer, their status in the upper class would definitely plummet. Without this identity to rely on, how many people would please the Lancer family again? Even the most critical question was that it would be good if these people did not beat them when they were down. Who would dare to offend the Buffon family because of the Lancer family? If you still contacted the people that the Buffon family wanted to deal with, wouldn't that mean that you were tired of living too comfortably? This series of chain reactions was something that the current Lancer family would not be able to bear. Thomas sighed secretly. It had only been one day, and I had changed positions with Wang Songshan. Yesterday, he was upset, and today, I am the one who is upset, but, yesterday, Wang Songshan was really upset, right? Is this guy deliberately making fun of me? Thomas wanted to scold Wang Songshan, but at this moment, he really did not dare. Chapter 1431. While he was complaining, the phone on the table suddenly rang again. Thomas was shocked. He thought that old Buffon had changed his mind. He really wanted to pick up the phone. Old Buffon would tell him that everything he said before was a lie and a joke. So, Thomas picked up the phone full of longing and said cautiously, "Hello, Family Master Thomas. I'm Wang Songshan." Wang Songshan was also a little nervous in his heart because he didn't know if what Yang Ming said was effective. He didn't know if the Buffon family's intentions had been passed to the Lancer family. "Wang. Family Master Wang, you've put me in a difficult situation." Thomas sighed, and his voice was a little sobbing. "You see, isn't this like the flood rushing against the Dragon King's temple, and the family doesn't recognize each other?" Thomas knew that Wang Songshan was Chinese, so he deliberately quoted a classic Chinese saying to arouse Wang Songshan's sense of closeness and sympathy. Wang Songshan was slightly stunned. After listening to Thomas's words, how could he not understand at this moment? Your news from the Buffon family must have been passed to the Lancer family. Otherwise, how could Thomas talk to me like this? Wang Songshan's tense heart finally breathed a sigh of relief. He suddenly had an indescribable feeling of comfort. It's so refreshing. Thomas, you also have such a day. This is the first time in my life that you have talked to me so humbly. However, at the same time, Wang Songshan also had doubts now for Yang Ming's ability for the first time. Come to think of it, the person who can intervene in the Buffon family's decision must be a big shot in the Buffon family. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the Buffon family to immediately react and pass on to the Lancer family in less than 10 minutes after Yang Ming hung up the phone. As for Yang Ming, how did he know such a character? That is the Buffon family. The top family in Europe's upper-class society. Not to mention being able to change the Buffon family's decision, it is already very impressive to be able to have a relationship with them or even talk to them. But now, old Buffon understood that although Yang Ming's tone was very polite, there was an unquestionable and unchangeable way of command. He was talking to a big shot in the Buffon family. Yang Ming's calm tone decided this matter in a few words. He didn't even allow the other party to discuss it. He said it completely in a commanding manner. This is too shocking, isn't it? What family? Wang Songshan vented his anger in his heart and spoke with confidence. Mr. Thomas, I don't understand what you mean. I said many times that my daughter will never marry good, you don't have to worry about this. Family Master Wang, you misunderstood me. Thomas smiled bitterly. He thought to himself, I don't dare to have any ideas about your family's Wang Xiaoyan anymore. If I had known before, I would have been a fool. Would I have forced your daughter to marry my grandson? Thomas was afraid that Wang Songshan would misunderstand, so he quickly explained, Family Master Wang, what I mean is that you see, our Lancer family and the Buffon family have been friends for decades. Your butterfly family must also have a good relationship with the Buffon family. So, aren't we a family? Oh. Is that so? Wang Songshan said faintly, I don't think so. How would I dare to associate with the Lancer family? It's better for me to have less contact with you. I called this time to tell you that since you have cancelled the firearm supply to the butterfly family, then we have nothing to do with each other in the future. We will not contact each other anymore. Don't. Thomas immediately became anxious when he heard this. Family Master Wang, Mr. Wang, please don't hang up the phone. I was wrong before. I was wrong. I really didn't know that you had a relationship with the Buffon family, so, if I have nothing to do with the Buffon family, then I can be bullied by you? Wang Songshan asked with a sneer. This. Thomas was speechless. Yes, when I didn't know about the relationship between Wang Songshan and the Buffon family, didn't I bully the butterfly family wantonly? Did I think that the butterfly family could finally follow the path I envisioned? It seems that you don't even dare to speak. Wang Songshan snorted disdainfully, in that case, we don't need to talk anymore. I still have other things to do, so I'll hang up the phone. Family Master Wang, Brother Wang, please wait a minute. Thomas was really anxious and spoke without thinking. Wang Songshan was his junior, but he actually called Wang Songshan Brother Wang at this moment. It could be seen how anxious he was now. However, it was no wonder that Wang Songshan had now become Thomas's last hope. This was because Thomas knew that this matter was completely caused by Wang Songshan. The Buffon family's attitude towards him was completely determined by the butterfly family's attitude. No matter how much he begged the Buffon family, it would probably be useless. This was because the Buffon family would definitely not relent if the butterfly family did not agree. Only when the butterfly family no longer pursued this matter would the Buffon family no longer pursue it. Therefore, the development of the whole matter was completely dependent on Wang Songshan's attitude. Therefore, Thomas did not mind lowering his seniority. As long as he could get Wang Songshan's understanding, what was his groveling? What are you waiting for? Wang Songshan said, isn't it your wish to reduce the quota of firearm supply? Moreover, you have now exceeded the quota. Not only has it been reduced, but it has also been completely cut off. You should be happy now. Thomas really wanted to cry, but he couldn't say anything in the face of Wang Songshan's mockery. After all, he had really said so before. However, Thomas still braced himself and said, Brother Wang, let's not beat around the bush in front of a straightforward person. This time, it is the Lancer family's fault. Please be magnanimous and let me go. I thank you in advance. You're so talkative, and this matter is considered over. Wang Songshan said contemptuously, sorry, I'm very tight on time. I don't want to waste time with you. Wang Songshan, then what do you want to let go of our Lancer family? Do you really want to force our Lancer family into a dead end? Thomas was really anxious. This was a major event related to the family's future livelihood. Force us into a dead end. Wang Songshan suddenly laughed after hearing it. I say, Thomas, you didn't forget how you forced me before, right? Why didn't you be magnanimous at that time and leave me a way out? Now you're talking about me instead. If you knew it would be like this, why did you do it in the first place? Back then, I did leave you a way out. I said that if Wang Xiaoyan marries good, we can continue our cooperation. Thomas said anxiously, although I know this condition is somewhat unreasonable, I didn't say it out loud after all. Now, you can at least show me a way out. What should I do to let the Lancer family live? Oh. Wang Songhan frowned. To be honest, he didn't mind killing the Lancer family this time. After all, the Lancer family's previous actions had made Wang Songhan extremely angry. However, since Thomas had asked this, Wang Songhan decided to give him a chance. As for whether he could seize this opportunity, it was up to him. He couldn't blame others. Well, since this is the case, then I will make a request. If you can do it, I will help you plead with the Buffon family. If you can't do it, then this matter will end here. Wang Songhan said after a moment of hesitation. What is it? Please tell me as soon as possible. As long as I can do it, I will do it. Thomas suddenly felt relieved after hearing Wang Songshan's words. Wang Songshan is finally willing to let go. That's easy. At most, I'll satisfy Wang Songshan's vanity and let him have his fill. Letting me go is better than anything else. Chapter 1432. Send goods head to the butterfly family within 5 days. Wang Songshan stated his conditions indifferently, otherwise, there is no room for negotiation. You. Wang Songshan, don't push me too far. Thomas's originally weak tone was filled with extreme hatred when he heard Wang Songshan's request. Your request is simply unreasonable. Too far. Wang Songshan sneered. Thomas, why didn't you say that you were too far when you made the request to the butterfly family? Why didn't you say that it was unreasonable? Now you're saying that I'm too far. Don't you feel ashamed? This. Thomas's face turned red when he heard Wang Songshan's words, but he also knew that Wang Songshan was telling the truth. He had never considered Wang Songshan's feelings when he was being aggressive before. Now, it was Wang Songshan's turn to be aggressive, and he had become the victim. Thomas really wanted to cry but had no tears. If he knew this would happen, why did he do it in the first place? However, even so, Thomas still felt that Wang Songshan was a bit too much. After all, his condition was to let Wang Songshan's daughter marry Good, and it didn't hurt anyone's life. However, Wang Songshan's request was too ruthless. He wanted Good's life. How could Thomas, who was Good's grandfather, agree? I have given you the opportunity. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. Wang Songshan didn't care about Thomas's mood at the moment. What does it have to do with me whether you are angry or not? You didn't leave yourself a way out when you forced me. Do you think it's possible for me to be merciful to you now? No one is a fool. Wang Songshan, I just want your daughter to marry my grandson, but you want my grandson's head. Is this fair? Although Thomas knew that he was at a disadvantage, he still argued. Good was very arrogant when he was in my house. If I don't get rid of him, people will think that the butterfly family is afraid of him. Wang Songshan ignored Good's question and sneered. This matter was caused by your grandson, Good. What does it have to do with my daughter? So, since he came looking for trouble, he should be prepared to pay the corresponding price. Otherwise, if no one is responsible for their own actions, wouldn't this world be a mess? Take responsibility. Thomas was indignant. The butterfly family has killed countless people. Why don't you stand up and take responsibility? However, Thomas did not dare to say so under the circumstances. After all, he had no choice but to lower his head under someone else's roof. Wang Songshan, our Lancer family will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation for this matter. As for the Douglas family, I will also make them pay the price they deserve. However, Good is my grandson no matter what. I will not allow any harm to come to him. Thomas's words were resolute and decisive. On the one hand, he was showing weakness to Wang Songshan. On the other hand, he was hinting to Wang Songshan that he should quit while he was ahead. We will also pay the price. As for Good's idea, I'm sorry, but don't think about it. If that's the case, then I think we have nothing to talk about. Wang Songshan blocked Thomas's words with one sentence. He did not buy his words at all. The butterfly family doesn't need any compensation or explanation. If we really want an explanation, the only thing we can give is Good's head. Good. Thomas was furious. This Wang Songshan was not going to give him any face at all. This made Thomas extremely annoyed. He had been in Europe's upper class for so many years, but today, he was the first person who did not give him face. Not only did he not give him face, but he was also pressuring him step by step. Wang Songshan, do you mean that you really want to fight to the death with our Lancer family? Let me tell you, although our Lancer family has lost the support of the Buffon family, we are not easy to bully due to our decades of accumulation of wealth. Even if our family declines, we will drag someone down with us. So what if you are an assassin family? Others may be afraid of you, but I, Thomas, am not afraid of my Lancer family. You have assassins, but we. If you don't believe it, we will see. Thomas's words made Wang Songshan wake up abruptly. Wang Songshan had been refreshed previously when he saw that Yang Ming had not only easily solved the family's biggest problem, the supply of firearms. He had also allowed the Buffon family to clean up the Lancer family. He felt extremely refreshed, especially when he saw Thomas lowering his voice to him. He was a little complacent for a while, but at this moment, Thomas's words reminded Wang Songshan. In any case, the Lancer family was a big family that had stood at the top of the upper class for many years. Even if their firearms sales qualifications were cut off at this moment, the wealth and foundation they had accumulated over the years were unimaginable. No one would believe that the Lancer family did not have a private security force. In particular, Thomas's previous sentence, "You have an assassin, don't we?" had already hinted that the Lancer family also had a trump card. If you really want to fight to the death, then we will accompany you to the end. When the time comes, no one will feel good about it. However, the possibility of both sides suffering heavy losses wasn't high. That's because the two sides were almost equal in strength. In this kind of situation where there was no absolute advantage, it was hard to tell who would emerge victorious. Even if they won, it would only be a Pyrrhic victory. This kind of method of harming others without benefiting oneself was simply something that only idiots would do. But Thomas had threatened Wang Songshan in this way. Although Wang Songshan did not think that Thomas would do this in his heart, because when he was forced into a corner, he did not think about mutual destruction with the Lancer family. However, it was hard to say for an old madman like Thomas. After all, Wang Songshan could not see through Thomas's thoughts. He did not have special abilities, so he was not 100% sure that Thomas would not dare to make a move. So at this moment, Thomas's words made Wang Songshan hesitate. He did not dare to gamble, and could not gamble. Now that the butterfly family had just climbed up to the Buffon family, it was a glorious moment. If the butterfly family's vitality was greatly damaged because of Thomas's matter, then the loss would outweigh the gain. Wang Songshan thought that the butterfly family could climb up to the Buffon family by having a relationship with them. But in fact, if Yang Ming knew Wang Songshan's thoughts, he would definitely find it funny. This was because old Buffon saw cooperating with the butterfly family as a way to please his master. The phone was on speakerphone, so Yang Ming could hear every word Thomas said clearly. Yang Ming also saw Wang Songshan's hesitation. He smiled slightly and said directly, "Thomas, right? There is only one chance. I hope you can grasp it. If you are not willing to do it yourself, then there is no problem. I will help you take his head when the time comes. But I will say the ugly words first. If I do it myself, then it will not be your Lancer family's credit. You will still be disqualified from being the Buffon family's arms dealer. Wang Songshan looked at Yang Ming with some surprise. Thomas obviously had the intention to fight to the death, but Yang Ming did not care at all and still threatened Thomas mercilessly. What does this mean? Could it be that Yang Ming already had the confidence to win? Wang Songshan could not help but feel a little nervous when he thought of this. However, when he thought of Yang Ming's magical power that could actually persuade the Buffon family, he believed that it would not be a problem to deal with the Lancer family. Wang Songshan was full of inexplicable confidence in Yang Ming when he thought of this. Who are you? Thomas suddenly heard Yang Ming's voice and was slightly stunned. He then asked very angrily. Yang Ming, Butterfly Wang's fiancé, Yang Ming replied faintly. Humph, bragging. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Thomas was suddenly angry when he heard that the person who spoke was actually Yang Ming. Wang Songshan, your son-in-law is really well educated. He is also interrupting when the elders are talking. Before Wang Songshan could speak, Yang Ming continued, in my eyes, you are just a shitty elder. Uncle Wang, ignore this mad dog and hang up the phone. We don't have time to talk nonsense with him. Okay. Wang Songshan smiled at Yang Ming and said to Thomas, Thomas, I have finished my request. Whether you can do it or not, you can think about it yourself. Okay, goodbye. You motherfucker. Wang Songshan hung up the phone before Thomas finished speaking, leaving the flustered and exasperated Thomas to sit on the chair dispiritedly. Chapter 1433. Previously, he wanted to fight to the death with the Butterfly family. It was just a threat to make Wang Songshan change his mind. Moreover, this trick did work. Wang Songshan began to hesitate after hearing his words. But before Wang Songshan hesitated to speak, he was interrupted by the person named Yang Ming. This is so infuriating. This little bastard, why didn't he speak earlier? Why did he have to speak at the most critical moment and ruin my entire plan all of a sudden? In fact, Thomas really didn't dare to sacrifice the entire Lancer family for Good. Although it was true that Good was his biological grandson, a grandson was still a grandson, not a grandson. He was an outsider and a member of the Douglas family, not the Lancer family. Even if Thomas wanted to stand up for Good, he believed that the elders of the Lancer family would not agree. After all, this was not Thomas's own interest, but the interest of the entire family. Going against the Butterfly family would not benefit the entire Lancer family. The strength of both sides was equal. Although his family had a trump card that could compete with the assassins of the Butterfly family, who could guarantee that the Butterfly family did not have a hidden trump card? Once the Butterfly family also had a hidden trump card, it meant that the Butterfly family's strength was a little better than the Lancer family's. In this way, he dared not act rashly. If they really fought, the Lancer family might be the unlucky one in the end. In fact, when one reached the status of the Butterfly family and the Lancer family, one would generally not fight to the death with the opponent without absolute strength. This was because it would not promote the family's interests at all. Instead, the entire family would be involved. No one would be so stupid to make such a decision. Thomas wanted to bet on whether Wang Songshan would be afraid before, but the result was ruined. How could this not make Thomas depressed? However, now that Wang Songshan was very determined, how should he deal with it? Give up on Good. Thomas definitely did not want to do this. This was his most beloved grandson. Not only could he not help him take revenge, but he would also lose his life. How could he, as a grandfather, endure this? However, if they didn't give up on Good, the Lancer family would definitely decline and wither. Even if they found a new industry, it would take a long time to adapt, let alone become strong and powerful. In that case, the Lancer family was bound to be reduced to a second-rate family or even a third-rate family. But in any case, this was a big matter. Although Thomas was the family master of the Lancer family, he still had to discuss such a big matter with the family. In the Lancer family's conference room, Thomas sat at the head of the table with a gloomy face. The other core members of the family, including the two elders of his generation, and several outstanding second-generation children, were also present. The news that the Buffon family had cancelled the Lancer family's firearms supplier qualification had been spread by the servant who answered the phone. Whether it was true or not, everyone present knew the news. The management of the Lancer family was obviously not very strict, and the confidentiality of the servants was also very poor. Therefore, the content of this call was quickly known by these people in the family. "I've called all of you here for an emergency meeting because I have something important to discuss with all of you." Thomas's expression was very bad. This matter would affect the fate of the Lancer family in the big picture. From the perspective of the family, it would be fine if he gave up on good. If he protected good, even if the second-generation children of the family didn't say anything, the elders of his generation would definitely question him. At that time, he was afraid that his position as the family master would not be stable. Could it be that what he heard before was true? Everyone's face showed a dignified expression. Previously, everyone didn't quite believe it when they heard it. However, at this time, Thomas solemnly called everyone for a meeting. Especially after seeing Thomas's expression, everyone had a bad feeling in their hearts. Seeing the expressions of everyone present, Thomas knew that the news had come. "I believe that everyone has also heard some rumors. The Buffon family has cancelled our Lancer family's firearms supplier qualification. Is it because of the Butterfly family?" An old man with triangular eyes sitting on Thomas's right said gloomily. He was Thomas's elder brother, Slade, and also the eldest son of Thomas's father. Logically speaking, he should be the first successor of the Lancer family. However, because he was not a legitimate son, but a concubine's son. His mother was not the legal wife of Thomas's father, but a personal maid in the family. This identity was naturally not presentable, and Slade was destined not to inherit the family's heavy responsibility. However, Slade had always been unhappy with his younger brother. They were all sons of the same father. Even if his mother was not the legal wife, he was at least the eldest son. Why should Thomas inherit the family master's position? When Thomas's father was alive, Slade didn't dare to stand out too much. He only secretly made things difficult for Thomas. However, after his father passed away, Slade blatantly disagreed with Thomas. This time, with such a good opportunity, Slade naturally didn't forget to go against Thomas. Anyway, Slade had no hope of winning the family master's position now. He attacked Thomas again and again just to make him give up the position. Give it to his son, Kevithan. His son, Kevithan, was the most outstanding among the second-generation children. He was originally the most promising candidate for the family master's position. Slade was also very optimistic about his son. Originally, it was already a certainty that Kevithan would be the next family master's heir. This was because Thomas's son was simply useless. He was obviously a playboy. He mingled with some small celebrities all day long. He was proficient in eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling. He didn't care about the family's affairs. It was impossible for him to be a candidate for the family master's position. Thomas was also very disappointed with his son. However, Slade was very proud. He thought that although he didn't become the family master, his son was likely to become the next family master. Whenever he thought of this, Slade was very gratified. However, this situation continued until Thomas's grandson, which suddenly emerged and became the leader of the third generation of the family. He had already faintly surpassed Kevithan's limelight in the past. This made Slade suddenly feel a sense of crisis. Not because of anything else, but because Thomas was really too good at living. And his son, Kevithan, was too old. He was more than 10 years older than Thomas, and Kevithan was his first son when he was 20 years old. In other words, Thomas was only 5 or 6 years older than Kevithan. That was all. He originally thought that after Thomas died, Kevithan would take over, but now it seemed that Thomas's body was very strong. It was still unknown who would die in front of him. If he had this idea, he was afraid that Kevithan would be disappointed. Therefore, in order to let Kevithan succeed, Slade only had one way. That was to continuously attack Thomas and force Thomas to give up the position under circumstances where he had no choice. Only in this way could Kevithan succeed. Otherwise, once Kevithan's body couldn't take it anymore, Thomas would definitely pass the family master's position to Witch directly. That would really be a hopeless situation. Therefore, Slade keenly seized this opportunity. Although he had the opportunity to attack Thomas in the past, he couldn't shake Thomas's foundation. Chapter 1434. No matter what, Slade could only satisfy his mouth previously. But this time, Thomas would not be able to get away so easily. He would either have to give up the family master's position or give up good. It would depend on his choice. Thinking of this, a sinister smile suddenly flashed across Slade's chrysanthemum-like old face. This was an absolutely good opportunity. If this opportunity had come a little later, which would have already become popular. At that time, even if Thomas gave up his position, the family master's position would inevitably fall to Thomas's grandson, Witch. But now, Witch was still young. Although he had begun to show his talents, he was still slightly inferior to Slade's son, Kevithan, who was more mature. Therefore, there was an 80% chance that the family master's position would fall to Kevithan. Therefore, before anyone else spoke, Slade didn't mind firing the first shot and directly pointed the spearhead at Thomas. Although it was just a simple question and there was no obvious intention to go against Thomas, everyone knew what Slade was thinking. If you ask if this matter was caused by the butterfly family, isn't it obvious that you are complaining about Thomas for provoking the butterfly family and implicating the Lancer family because of his grandson? Thomas's expression changed slightly in the face of Slade's hidden question. He had long known that Slade was dissatisfied with him, but the family had reached the most dangerous moment at this moment. This old guy was still thinking about internal strife. Really, big brother, this matter was indeed caused by the butterfly family. Thomas didn't deny it because it was useless to deny this kind of thing. Everyone knew the reason, so there was no need for Thomas to explain or deny it. It is indeed the butterfly family. I say, second brother, I think this matter has nothing to do with our Lancer family at all. It is obviously a dispute between the Douglas family and the butterfly family. Why are we pretending to be big wolves? What does this matter have to do with us? Slade. Thomas's face immediately turned ashen. He called Slade directly by his name instead of Big Brother. He was very angry. At this time, Slade didn't forget to attack him. The main problem now is how to solve the current difficulties the family is facing. What's the point of mentioning these things? Why are you mentioning them? I just want to say that if it weren't for good, would our Lancer family face the current predicament? Isn't this all because of good? Slade snorted coldly. There is a problem now, but he is fine. Is it reasonable for the Lancer family to face it? Slade. Good is your niece's son and your closest relative. How is he not related to our Lancer family? Thomas was furious after hearing Slade's words. How can you be so heartless? I'm heartless. Slade shrugged. Is Good's surname Lance? His surname is Douglas. If the Douglas family doesn't stand up for him, why should the Lancer family stand up for him? What kind of logic is this? As soon as Slade said that, everyone fell silent. Even Thomas, who had been hooting earlier, shut his mouth. What Slade said was right. Why should the Lancer family stand up for something that the Douglas family didn't? What kind of logic was this? Thomas knew that he was in the wrong in this matter. It was futile to argue because he had indeed stood up for good, resulting in the current situation. However, everyone had their own ulterior motives. For example, his third brother, Leckroft, who had never spoken. This guy wasn't a good person either. He was more than 20 years younger than Thomas and was also one of the strong candidates for the family master. However, Leckroft usually didn't reveal anything and had always shown an aloof attitude, so everyone ignored him. This was also the reason why Slade didn't take him seriously. In Slade's opinion, Leckroft had no intention of competing for the family master position. He was just a carefree elder and didn't want to get involved in the family's disputes at all. That was why he regarded his son Kevithan's only competitor as Witch. However, Thomas knew that it wasn't that Leckroft didn't want to compete, but he knew that his situation was weaker than Thomas and Slade. He was born later. After he became an adult, Thomas and Slade had already established themselves in the family and controlled many of the family's elders to form their own faction. Therefore, Leckroft's rash participation in the battle would only make these two guys more wary of him, making it more difficult for him to succeed. There was one time when the three brothers went to visit their late father's grave. In front of their father's tombstone, Leckroft muttered behind Thomas and Slade's back. This allowed Thomas to discover a shocking secret. It turned out that it wasn't that Leckroft didn't want to compete for the family master position. He was complaining about why he was born a few years later and why his father left him too little foundation. He passed away before his wings were fully grown. Thomas was secretly shocked. It seemed that he had underestimated this third brother before. Thus, from then on, Thomas began to secretly be on guard against him. Under this vigilance, he discovered many small hidden arrows from Leckroft. Thomas was very glad that he had discovered this big secret. Otherwise, he would have unknowingly fallen into Leckroft's trap. Perhaps Leckroft also realized that this was an opportunity, a good opportunity to overthrow Thomas. He had to let himself hit the nail on the head in order to smoothly take over the position of patriarch before Kevithan. Otherwise, when Thomas and Slade were on guard against him, it would be even more difficult to achieve his goal. Therefore, Leckroft had been enduring until this opportunity appeared. Leckroft also realized that this opportunity was not to be missed, so he decisively joined the battle and began to attack Thomas, second brother. I think what Big Brother said is right. This is obviously the Douglas family's matter. Why is our Lancer family interfering? Is our Lancer family too comfortable, so we have nothing better to do? Leckroft had always maintained a neutral position in family meetings as if the things around him had nothing to do with him. But this time, what made Slade feel strange was that Leckroft actually stood on his side and attacked Thomas with him. Slade couldn't help but be overjoyed when he thought of this. He didn't think much about it. In his opinion, Leckroft didn't want to participate in the family struggle. And this time, he was obviously extremely dissatisfied with Thomas's approach, so he spoke up. After all, Leckroft was also a member of the Lancer family. The fate of the Lancer family was closely related to him. Now that the Lancer family was in danger, it was naturally impossible for Leckroft to not speak up. Thomas also didn't expect that Leckroft would choose to oppose him at this time. He was a little annoyed and scolded in his heart. You finally couldn't hold it in after so long. But you are still too inexperienced. How can you be Slade's opponent? You can only be cannon fodder at this time. In the end, the one who reaps the benefits is that old guy Slade. Well, no matter what, this matter was indeed caused by me. But now is not the time for us to blame anyone. Let's work together to get through this crisis first, right? Thomas said with a sullen face, if we don't get through this, then our Lancer family will be finished. What's the use of saying this? Thomas's words made Slade and Luckroft alert. Indeed, the urgent matter was to solve the problem in front of them, not attack Thomas. It would not be too late to attack this old guy after the problem was solved. Humph. Slade snorted coldly. Although the urgent matter is to solve the problem in front of us, I think we still need to quickly discuss and confirm the next family master candidate after the problem is solved. Some people are too arrogant and underestimate their opponents. If this continues, the Lancer family will be ruined sooner or later. Indeed, I agree with Big Brother's words. Luckroft was waiting for this sentence, so he quickly seconded. Underestimating their opponents. Thomas was angry when he heard this word. The Butterfly family is pretending to be weak. They obviously have a good relationship with the Buffon family, but they pretended to be weak. Isn't this a trap? You said that you have such good resources. Why don't you directly buy firearms from the Buffon family? Why are you looking for our Lancer family? Isn't this intentional? Although Slade and Luckroft knew that Thomas was telling the truth, what was the Butterfly family playing at? It was a trap. However, the two of them were aiming to attack Thomas. This was because compared to the Lancer family, the Butterfly family was like a precious porcelain. At this moment, they were thriving. It was impossible to go head-to-head with the Lancer family. This was contrary to the development direction of the Butterfly family. As long as the Butterfly family to the death to the family to the death, the Butterfly family that tease a family. The Lancer family's crisis would naturally be resolved. However, Thomas's wishful thinking was good, but Slade and Luckroft didn't have the same thoughts as him. Not only were they not angry when they heard that the Butterfly family wanted Good's life, they began to gloat instead. Slade and Luckroft both thought, this is great. Let's see how you, Thomas, make your choice. If you sacrifice Good, then we might have made a fuss for nothing this time. It seems that the family master's position can't be easily shaken. But if you protect Good and sacrifice the Lancer family's interests, then fine. In that case, we don't have to wait for the matter to be resolved. We will abolish your position as the family master now. This was because there was such a rule in the Lancer family. If the family master's actions were contrary to the family's interests and could cause great losses to the family, then the elders had the right to abolish the family master and appoint a wise new family master if the family master did not listen to the advice of the other elders and insisted on doing things his own way. Therefore, since there was this family rule, Slade and Luckroft were thinking about how to make use of this situation instead of Good's life. What a joke. He's just a grandnephew. His surname is Douglas and not Lancer. If he dies, then he dies. What's there to be angry about? If it weren't for this bastard, the Lancer family wouldn't have fallen to this point. In that case, Thomas, you must have made a decision, right? Slade asked again in a gloomy tone. Yes. Thomas nodded and said resolutely, at this time, we can't compromise. The three of us must work together and confront the Butterfly family to the end. Confront? When did we agree to confront the Butterfly family to the end? Slade suddenly interrupted Thomas, aren't you courting death? You know that there is a gap between us and the Butterfly family, yet you still insist. If we don't confront them, do we have to agree to the Butterfly family's unreasonable request? Thomas faintly felt that something was wrong when Slade opened his mouth. Slade didn't seem to support his suggestion at all. Yes, that's right. Then, when will we give Good's head to the Butterfly family? Luckroft also spoke, let this matter pass quickly. The Lancer family can't afford to be tossed around. It's really an eventful time. third brother, you. Thomas widened his eyes. He couldn't believe that his third brother was so ruthless and didn't care about Good's life or death. What about you? I'll say this now. Between the two of you, ask yourself who can protect Good from harm. I'd rather give up the position of family head. Thomas gave up the position of family head after thinking it through. Since there was nothing to worry about, let them fight it out. Thomas's idea could be said to be extremely tempting. Although Slade, as the chief elder of the family, had the right to abolish Thomas's position of family head according to the ancestral teachings, Slade actually knew that this was just an ancestral teaching. It seemed to have a lot of power, but it was actually very difficult to implement it. In the current Lancer family, Thomas had the most people and was the strongest. Although Slade, as the chief elder, also had some direct descendants, they were much worse than Thomas. After all, Thomas was the family head. If Thomas could take the initiative to give up the position, it would save a lot of trouble, so Slade couldn't help but be tempted. Not only was Slade tempted, but Leckroft was also very tempted. The two old men looked at each other and saw the burning desire in each other's eyes. Leckroft had long known that Slade coveted the position of family head, so he didn't feel anything strange. Instead, it was Slade's first time seeing that his third brother also wanted to compete for the position of family head. He was destined to be a person who didn't know his place. Slade suddenly had a sense of fear. In fact, Leckroft competing for the position of family head was more legitimate than his own son. After all, Leckroft was the son of the previous family head like himself and Thomas. However, Leckroft's only advantage was that he was still young. He was in his middle age and was at the prime of his life. He was only a few years older than his son, Kevithan. If they really competed, he would be more competitive than Kevithan. Slade couldn't help but have a headache when he thought of this. This was really a mistake of his. He originally thought that Leckroft stood on his side because he couldn't stand Thomas, but he didn't expect this kid to have disloyal thoughts long ago. He had been enduring and waiting for the right opportunity. And now, the opportunity had finally arrived. Thomas took the initiative to give up the position, not others usurping it. This meant that everyone had a chance. As long as they could protect Good, they could become the new family head of the Lancer family. However, the price of protecting Good was to let the Lancer family decline. Who would dare to bear this responsibility? Therefore, it was precisely because of this that Slade and Leckroft were full of scruples in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. No one dared to speak first. At this time, if there was no foolproof way to not only protect Good, but also prevent the Lancer family from continuing to decline, who would dare to speak up and accept the position of the family head? Otherwise, once this person agreed, he would inevitably become a sinner of the family and become the target of others' attacks. Even if he temporarily became the family head, it would not be stable. Sooner or later, he would be dragged down by others. Thomas had an indescribable sense of satisfaction when he saw Slade and Leckroft being cautious and no one daring to speak first. "Aren't you guys snatching? Why aren't you snatching this time?" Just when Slade and Leckroft didn't dare to speak, a voice sounded in the conference room. "Can I become the new family head as long as I protect Good?" The people present had different expressions after hearing this sentence because the person who spoke was the leader of the second generation of the family, Kevithan, Slade's son. Originally, in the family meeting, although the leaders of the second and third generation were eligible to attend, they rarely spoke because the current family meeting was still the main battlefield of the family head and the two elders. They had no right to participate. However, Kevithan suddenly spoke in such an important meeting and wanted to fight for the family head's position. Everyone suddenly looked like they were watching a good show. Especially the people in Leckroft's faction, they all looked at Kevithan as if they were looking at a fool. Leckroft was also secretly delighted in his heart. This Cavithan was his archenemy. Now that he had taken the lead, even if he won the family head's position, it would only be temporary. When the time comes, wouldn't he have to abdicate when the family goes downhill? Slade, on the other hand, was shocked. Looking at his son who suddenly stood up at this time, his heart was filled with hatred. He sighed in his heart. My son still lacks patience and finally can't help it. However, even if he won the family head's position at this time, what can he do? Now, this was a position where one's buttocks were roasted. Whoever sat on it would not have a good ending. He looked at his son with some resentment, but he suddenly found that Cavithan nodded to him confidently. This made Slade feel a little strange. The previous complaints about his son also turned into doubts. Yes, logically speaking, my son is not a reckless person. What is his intention to stand up at this moment? Could it be that he has his own plans? However, even if he has his own plans, this is definitely not a good opportunity to stand up. As a result, Leckroft and Witch are benefiting. But at this moment, Cavithan had already spoken. Even if Slade disagreed, it would be useless. Stop Cavithan at this time. I'm afraid it's too late. Moreover, after abdicating, he was destined to have no chance with the patriarch's position. I have a cousin. Everyone is very clear about this, right? Cavithan slowly opened his mouth. Cousin. What cousin? Leckroft just wanted to say something sarcastic, but he suddenly paused when he heard the words coming out of his mouth because he thought of something. His expression suddenly became panicked. You mean, your cousin Jetson? Yes, it's really him. Cavithan nodded. He is working for Dr. Benjamin. If we can get 1 or 2 technological inventions from him, it is enough to make our Lancer family join the ranks of the world-class high-tech companies. Cavithan's words made everyone present panic. To be exact, it was fear. Cavithan's cousin, everyone in the Jetson family knew this name. This person who played with Cavithan when he was a child had a very good relationship with Cavithan. However, 3 years ago, Jetson suffered from a strange disease and was about to die. Just as the doctor announced that everyone should prepare for his funeral, 3 uninvited guests suddenly came to the hospital. An old man in his 60s with 2 young male and female assistants in their 30s. The old man claimed to be called Benjamin. He came from an organization called Central and was a doctor of science and technology. His purpose for coming here was very simple. He claimed to be able to save Jetson, but as a condition, Jetson needed to work for him in the future. Originally, Jetson couldn't make it. If Dr. Benjamin didn't appear, he definitely wouldn't have lived for more than a month. Therefore, Jetson's family agreed to Dr. Benjamin's conditions. So, Jetson was taken away by Benjamin. In the following year, there was no news of him. Just when everyone thought that Jetson couldn't be alive in this world, Jetson appeared. Jetson came to visit Cavithan. However, when he came this time, Cavithan didn't look like he was sick at all. Not only was he exceptionally strong, but his whole body also revealed an indescribable domineering aura. When Jetson was seriously ill, Cavithan had worked hard to take care of him in the hospital, which made Jetson very moved. Although they were childhood playmates, how many people could have such intentions, especially when he was about to die? Therefore, Jetson remembered this friendship in his heart and always wanted to repay Cavithan when he had the chance. The entire Lancer family was shocked by Jetson's recovery. They didn't understand how this Dr. Benjamin could make a dying person become so strong in just a year. The Lancer family only paid attention to the institution, Central. After inquiring in the upper class, they found out that this Central was not unfamiliar, but a transcendental institution. Many big families of rich families had more or less connections with this institution. The research direction of this institution was the development of the human body's potential. It belonged to the level of scientific research that defied the natural order. It was especially experienced in organ transplantation. Therefore, if some important figures of big families were to get central to lend a helping hand when they were sick, then everything would be peaceful. Of course, this central did not belong to the official forces, but was a terrorist organization similar to a criminal. Not only did they research the potential of the human body, but they also dabbled in many technologies. This kind of terrifying existence immediately attracted the attention of the Lancer family. Unfortunately, Jetson was not very interested in the other members of the Lancer family except for showing kindness to Kevithan. After all, although the Lancer family was very big, it was still more than one level lower than the real top families. Therefore, the Lancer family was not in the eyes of Central at all. At this moment, the members of the Lancer family did not doubt that Jetson would not contribute because his friendship with Kevithan was obvious to all. If Kevithan really became the family master, then the Lancer family would not decline, but might become even stronger. After being associated with Central, not only would the Butterfly family not dare to underestimate the Lancer family, even the Buffon family would give them some face. After all, Central was an organization with a transcendental existence. I support Kevithan as the new family master of our Lancer family. Slade spoke first. Of course, as Kevithan's father, it was normal to support Kevithan. I also support. Thomas hesitated and also spoke. Although he gave up the family master position, he was still a member of the Lancer family. If Kevithan could lead the Lancer family to glory, he would also be very pleased. The most important thing was that as long as they were associated with Central, it would be really easy to protect good. Not only would they protect good, but as long as Jetson supported them, it would not be a problem to turn the tables on the Butterfly family. Leckroft sighed. At this moment, he finally knew that his momentum was gone. Kevithan had a cousin who worked in Central. He wasn't his opponent at all. He couldn't snatch the position of the family head from Kevithan. Even if he wanted to snatch it, the other members of the Lancer family would not agree. Chapter 1438. I also agree. Leckroft said helplessly. Even the current family master agreed. What else could Leckroft say? Kevithan seemed to have expected this result long ago. A smug smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He cleared his throat and said, "Since everyone trusts me so much, then it would be impolite for me to refuse." Leckroft was better off. He knew that his power was not as big as Slade's. Now that Kevithan had the support of the family master, Leckroft still had some self-awareness. However, the one who was most upset was Thomas's grandson, Witch. He had long been selected as the new family master of the family, but now his uncle had taken the lead. His dream of being the family master for many years was shattered at this moment. Which was very clear. From now on, he had no chance to be the family master. Even if Kevithan stepped down from the family master position, the next family master would be one of Kevithan's sons. They were the few cousins that he had looked down on the most. He had also used his identity as the first successor to bully and ridicule them many times. But from now on, Witch knew that his identity would be exchanged with those people, and he would become the object of ridicule. Thinking of this, Witch's heart was full of deep dissatisfaction, so much so that he also hated good. If it weren't for him, would the Lancer family be implicated? Would he be implicated? But he had no right to speak. How could he change the things that his grandfather had already decided? He could only stare fiercely at Kevithan, the uncle who had robbed him of the family master position. Witch understood that this was also the last time he would participate in the family's decision-making meeting. In the future, no matter how outstanding he would not be able to appear in this meeting again. Just because he was the grandson of the former family master, the new family master Kevathan would never allow him to appear in this family master's meeting. In the butterfly family's Wang Songshan study, Yang Ming looked at Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui with a smile. How is it? Uncle Wang, this time, you should agree to my cancellation of the engagement, right? Senior Wang Ruoshui, you won't invite me to compete again, right? Originally, Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui were very excited about the Lancer family surrender. They were thinking about how to celebrate, but when they suddenly heard Yang Ming's words, their faces suddenly showed a wonderful expression. You really want to break off the engagement? Wang Ruoshui already knew about the matter between Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan. She knew about the misunderstanding between the two of them. She also knew that all this was done by the two old guys, Wang Songshan and Fang Tian, behind Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan's backs. So, she felt a little strange when she heard that Yang Ming still insisted on breaking off the engagement. That's right. Why else would I spend so much effort to help you? Yang Ming blinked his eyes. Could it be that the two of them were unwilling to break off the engagement after seeing how powerful he was? If that was the case, he would have overreached himself. Strenuous. Wang Songshan rolled his eyes. He didn't see how much effort Yang Ming had put in. It was nothing more than a phone call, and everything was settled. Moreover, his tone was quite arrogant. It didn't seem like he was asking for help, but more like he was ordering people. How was this laborious? This was clearly a piece of cake. No, it should be a piece of cake. He didn't even raise his hand. Yeah, I also have to pay a certain price. Yang Ming pretended to sigh sadly. Do you think that the Buffon family's people will listen to me just by casually greeting them? Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui couldn't help but look at each other after listening to Yang Ming's words. Indeed, what kind of existence was the Buffon family? How could they make such a big reaction after listening to Yang Ming's words? No one would believe that Yang Ming didn't pay a considerable price. Unless Yang Ming was a more powerful existence, but neither of them found anything special about Yang Ming. In fact, Yang Ming's biggest source of strength was Fang Tian. Yang Ming could take over the Charles family because of Fang Tian's name. If he wasn't Fang Tian's apprentice, old Charles would definitely not easily rely on Yang Ming with his shrewdness. Therefore, when Yang Ming said this, Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui understood a lot in their hearts. Sure enough, Yang Ming had paid a certain price. The reason why Yang Ming said this was because he guessed that Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui didn't want to break off the engagement after seeing his great ability. Therefore, he expressed that it wasn't because he had great ability, but because he had paid a price. Moreover, Yang Ming didn't lie to them because Yang Ming did pay a price. Old Buffon came to the butterfly family to look for him. How could he let him go for nothing? Of course, he had to teach him some new cultivation techniques, so it could be considered a sacrifice. Okay, but before breaking off the engagement, you should meet my daughter. At least we can part on good terms. Wang Songshan felt a little sad for Yang Ming. He had paid so much, but in the end, he found out that he couldn't break off the engagement. He believed that only he could feel how depressed he was. Let's meet. All right then. Yang Ming said in his heart. According to the originally agreed process, both parties had to meet before breaking off the engagement. Then, they would announce to the public that it was due to the incompatibility of their personalities after meeting, and it wasn't a decision made by one party. Then let's do it tonight. There's no time to lose. I'll make arrangements. Wang Songshan sighed, but a smile flashed in his eyes. He also thought of how mischievous Yang Ming would be when he met Wang Xiaoyan. Yang Ming also keenly felt that Wang Songshan and Wang Ruoshui seemed to be a little abnormal, but he didn't find anything else wrong. Yang Ming just thought that they felt pity for breaking off the engagement, but he didn't think much about it. Yen Yen, meet with your fiancé tonight to discuss breaking off the engagement. Wang Songhan waited for Yang Ming to leave, then he came to Wang Xiaoyan's room. Because the family's matter had been resolved, Wang Songhan had nothing to do, and the smile on his face increased. Oh. Wang Xiaoyan was slightly stunned. Has the family's matter been resolved? This matter isn't urgent, right? After Wang Songhan told Wang Xiaoyan about the butterfly family situation, Wang Xiaoyan was also very worried about the family's matter. When she returned to the room, she was thinking about whether to call Yang Ming. In Wang Xiaoyan's opinion, only Yang Ming could solve this matter. Although she also knew old Buffon, she was only a master's wife after all. The strength of her words was not as good as Yang Ming's. It would be better for Yang Ming to call old Buffon personally. She didn't stay in the room for long before her father came to the door to talk about breaking off the engagement. This made Wang Xiaoyan feel a little embarrassed. If it were at other times, Wang Xiaoyan would naturally be anxious to settle the matter of breaking off the engagement quickly. After all, she was also anxious to return to China. But now, with the family crisis in front of her, how could Wang Xiaoyan still have the mood to think about breaking off the engagement? Even if she was not sensible, it was impossible for her to take care of her own affairs at this time. The family's matter has been resolved. Wang Songhan smiled easily. It was just resolved. It's fine now. Resolved. So fast. Wang Xiaoyan was a little surprised after hearing her father's words. The Lancer family compromised so quickly. What price did we pay? We didn't pay any price, and the Lancer family suffered a big loss instead. Wang Songhan couldn't help but laugh when he thought of this matter. Thomas, this old bastard, got caught in his own trap this time. He told me that the firearms quota was reduced by the factory. This is great. His dream came true. Not only did it come true, but he also overfulfilled his dream. Dream come true. What do you mean? Wang Xiaoyan was slightly stunned. She didn't quite understand the meaning of her father's words. The Lancer family superior supplier is the Buffon family, and the Buffon family has cancelled the Lancer family's firearms dealer qualification this time. Wang Songhan smiled. This is a big joke. Thomas is probably regretting his jinxed mouth. The Buffon family. Wang Xiaoyan's eyes were full of disbelief and shock after hearing this name. How could it be so coincidental? The Lancer family superior supplier is actually the Buffon family. Then how did father get the Buffon family to help the butterfly family? Yeah, our family's firearms will be directly supplied by the Buffon family in the future. Wang Songhan said proudly, not only is the price much cheaper than before, but the quantity has also increased a lot. The only unlucky one is Thomas. Dad, as far as I know, our butterfly family has never been in contact with the Buffon family before, right? Wang Xiaoyan asked curiously, so, how did you get in touch with the Buffon family, and how did you get them to help us? Chapter 1439. Wang Xiaoyan knew the Buffon family's style of doing things very well. This kind of big family would not do anything without benefits. They would not do anything that was not beneficial to the family. Moreover, the butterfly family had never cooperated or contacted the Buffon family. Why would they help her family? Although old Buffon was respectful to Yang Ming and her and listened to everything they said, that was because he respected his teacher. It was absolutely impossible for old Buffon to treat others the same way. Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan was very surprised that the Buffon family could lend a helping hand at this moment. Actually, this time, it was all thanks to your fiancé. Wang Songhan laughed. I didn't expect him to be so capable that he could actually ask the Buffon family for help. This time, it was all thanks to him that our butterfly family got through this difficult time. That fiancé. Wang Xiaoyan frowned after hearing her father's words, the apprentice of the king of assassins? He solved it. Wang Xiaoyan was extremely unhappy about this news. There was no other reason. In Wang Xiaoyan's opinion, this matter could only be solved by Yang Ming. This could also show Yang Ming's strength, show his face in the butterfly family, and let her father see Yang Ming in a new light. However, she did not expect that the limelight would be stolen by that so-called fiancé. How could this not make Wang Xiaoyan angry? Wang Xiaoyan did not care that the fiancé was the hero who solved the problem for her family. She had already begun to curse in her heart. This person is so annoying. Why can't you just cancel the engagement if you want to? Why are you so nosy? Do I need you to care? If she had known that the supplier behind the Lancer family was the Buffon family, Wang Xiaoyan would have been more confident in solving this matter. How would it be the fiancé's turn to come forward? Wang Xiaoyan's tone was a little unfriendly. He can actually solve it. Yes, so Yan, I think he is good. It is a pity to cancel the engagement with such a capable young man. Why don't you consider it again? Wang Songshan touched the beard on his chin and asked with a smile. Consider what? Wang Xiaoyan said unhappily, Dad, didn't I say? Yang Ming can solve it. Why do you look for others? You owe them a favor for no reason. Wang Songshan said in his heart, at this moment, I finally believe that what you said about Yang Ming being able to solve it is true because this matter was really solved by Yang Ming. Of course, Wang Songshan could only think about it. After all, he has good intentions. Wang Songshan said awkwardly, when you meet at night, you have to have a better attitude. Don't offend them. Humph. Wang Xiaoyan snorted with some displeasure. It is clearly a matter that your own family can solve, but you have to rely on an outsider. Won't it be awkward when you meet? Ugh, that Yang Ming is not considered a family member. Wang Songshan laughed dryly, moreover, it has already been solved. We should thank him. Wang Xiaoyan sighed. Although she complained, she also knew that her father was telling the truth. It was a good thing that someone helped to solve the problem. If there was no Yang Ming as a trump card, then the butterfly family would really be grateful. Therefore, after thinking this through, Wang Xiaoyan had no choice but to thank him when they met at night. Wang Xiaoyan felt that this thank you was really a waste of money. She could obviously solve it herself, but she had to thank others. Well, I will thank him. Wang Xiaoyan nodded. However, the next time there is such a thing, just look for Yang Ming. Don't owe other people anymore. Okay, I know. Wang Songshan smiled helplessly. You child, you haven't married him yet, but you are already speaking for him. Wang Xiaoyan blushed and said, What? I just feel that there is no need to trouble others if you can solve it yourself. Wang Songshan walked out of Wang Xiaoyan's room. His two shoulders shook up and down, and he finally couldn't help but laugh out loud. They are obviously the same person. Why is there a need to distinguish so clearly? Yan will probably understand everything when she meets Yang Ming at night. Early this morning, Bao Sanli drove Jing Xiaolu straight to the city police station. He had already made an appointment with Qin Fei to bring the contract to do the judicial fingerprint identification. For this matter, Qin Fei was duty-bound to do his best to help. Qin Fei already knew about this company. Yang Ming was the big boss behind the scenes, and Bao Sanli was the general manager of the Mingyang Security Company. He was his subordinate in name, so Qin Fei had to do things well for both public and private reasons. Chief Chen. How could I trouble you to personally welcome me downstairs? Bao Sanli didn't expect that Qin Fei, the head of the police station, would personally come downstairs to welcome him. He was suddenly flattered. He quickly reached out and shook hands with Qin Fei. While he was excited, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Once upon a time, he was just a little punk. Not to mention the chief of the police station, even if he saw an ordinary police officer, he would be scared to turn around and run away. But now, not only did he have an identity and status, but he was often on equal footing with many politicians in Songjiang. All of this was thanks to Yang Ming. If it weren't for Yang Ming, he would probably be in the palace now. He might even be hacked to death by Yu Xiangde. President Bao, you have paid a lot of management fees to our police station in a year. You are the god of wealth of our police station. It is not too much for me to come and welcome you. Qin Fei smiled. These words were actually said to the others around him. Qin Fei belonged to the kind of person who was more upright. He didn't like to use his power for personal gain. Therefore, helping Bao Sanli this time was actually to tell his subordinates that he was the boss of the company under the city bureau. So, helping others was equivalent to helping ourselves. Qin Fei was not wrong. The Mingyang Security Company was indeed a company under the city bureau. It was under the guidance and management of the city bureau. It did pay a lot of management fees every year. This was something that everyone present knew. That's right, President Bao. You have solved a lot of problems with welfare funds in our bureau. A deputy bureau chief on the side also said with a smile. Of course, if it weren't for Qin Fei, he certainly wouldn't give Bao Sanli face like this. In his opinion, since Bao Sanli's company was under the guidance and management of the city bureau, he was his own subordinate. Was there a need to welcome him personally? However, these people knew that Qin Fei had already welcomed him. If they didn't welcome him, they were simply not giving face to Bureau Chief Qin Fei. Therefore, these people were also very friendly to Bao Sanli. This is Vice President Jing of our company. Bao Sanli introduced Jing Xiaolu to Qin Fei. Hello, Bureau Chief Qin. Jing Xiaolu knew Qin Fei's identity. This was the father of the harem master, Chen Mengyan. Naturally, she didn't dare to neglect. Qin Fei had never seen Jing Xiaolu before, so he wasn't familiar with her. He just shook hands and nodded. He didn't say anything more. Jing Xiaolu didn't care. I heard that you were looking for me to do a fingerprint identification. Qin Fei and Bao Sanli walked side by side. He asked as they went upstairs, what happened? What trouble did you encounter? Tell me. Bao Sanli didn't hide it at the moment. He directly told the truth. He told Qin Fei how his company was cheated and it cooperated with the Jiangyan group. Then, he told him the flaw that Jing Xiaolu found, which was the fingerprint problem on the contract. Speaking of Jing Xiaolu finding the flaw on the fingerprint, Qin Fei looked at this little girl who was about the same age as his daughter for the first time. Qin Fei was a criminal investigator. Combined with Bao Sanli's description, it was not surprising that he could think of the flaw. However, Jing Xiaolu, a young girl, could actually find this suspicious point. Qin Fei couldn't help but be amazed. Chapter 1440. When Qin Fei saw Jing Xiaolu for the first time, he thought that she was just a relative of Bao Sanli's family or a little mistress. The vice president position was just an empty position. But after listening to Bao Sanli's words, Qin Fei realized that he had underestimated this girl. With such a smart mind, it was not unusual for her to be promoted to the vice president of the company at such a young age. He glanced at Jing Xiaolu with appreciation, said, "Not bad," and continued to listen to Bao Sanli's narration. However, this "not bad" had already made Jing Xiaolu very proud. Being able to get Qin Fei's affirmation showed that she was really capable. Thinking of this, Jing Xiaolu smiled slightly imperceptibly. This time, the matter had come to this point. At least, she would not lose face in front of Yang Ming. President Bao, Vice President Jing, you wait in the lounge. I have other things to do here, so I can't accompany you. However, I will hand over this contract to the identification department as soon as possible for fingerprint identification. Once the results are out, I will get it back as soon as possible. Chen Fei led Bao Sanli and Jing Xiaolu into a lounge and said to them. Since he learned that the loophole in the contract was discovered by Jing Xiaolu, Chen Fei had a whole new level of respect for Jing Xiaolu, so naturally, his tone became respectful. Okay, Chief Chen, you go ahead. We will wait here. Don't worry about us. Bao Sanli said quickly. As the chief of a bureau, Chen Fei must have a lot of work every day, so Bao Sanli would not ask Chen Fei to accompany him. After Chen Fei nodded, he left the lounge. Bao Sanli and Jing Xiaolu were not in the mood to visit the police station and chat. They were anxiously waiting for the identification results. The Lancer family's industry had been attacked to varying degrees within a day. Since the news of the Buffon family cutting off business with the Lancer family spread, almost all of the Lancer family's partners followed suit and directly announced that they would cut off future business with the Lancer family. For a while, several arms dealerships of the Lancer family became deserted. Originally, Thomas, Kevathan, and others were still preparing to limit the supply of firearms because they couldn't get more after selling them. They would use the stocks in their hands to hold on for a while until Kevathan contacted cousin Jetson, who worked at Central, to come up with a new money-making project. Then, they would end all the arms business. But now, they were still preparing to limit the supply for a while. Those businessmen who used to do arms business with the Lancer family simply did not come to their door, for fear that they could not avoid it. In addition to the special firearms supplied to Wang Songshan's butterfly family, there were many other firearms that circulated in the market. The Lancer family was not the only dealer. And the Lancer families, who dared to risk offending the Buffon, the risk of offending the Buffon family and continue to buy. They directly transferred to other dealers to other dealings. That was not all. The firearms store, which originally had all the licenses and permits, was now subject to the strictest surprise inspection. Since the Lancer family did such a big business, it was inevitable that there would be tax evasion. This was not a secret among the major families in the upper-class society. However, at this time, someone came to find trouble with the Lancer family. After the inspection, not only was the Lancer family's shop temporarily sealed, but a huge fine was also issued. This made the Lancer family, who was already in a terrible situation, even worse. The most intolerable thing was that the peripheral members of the Lancer family would be attacked by unknown mysterious people every time they went out to buy necessities or to take care of the shop. Although it was not fatal, they were beaten black and blue every time. At this point, the Lancer family finally understood that offending the Butterfly family before was the biggest mistake in Thomas's life. Moreover, the troubles that followed made the newly appointed family master, Kevathan's good mood, suddenly disappear. He had yet to enjoy the joy of the family master's power, but he was already mentally and physically exhausted by these things. Just as he was remedied, there was a problem on the other side. All the troubles fell on the Lancer family together, making Kevathan breathless. The Lancer family had to urgently convene the second family meeting of the day. In this meeting, the person sitting in the main seat had become Kevathan, but his expression was not much more relaxed than Thomas before. Because now it seemed that the Butterfly family did not want to stop the Lancer family's arms business. Judging from the current situation, no matter what the Lancer family did in the future, they would inevitably be attacked by the Butterfly family's revenge. The arms shop was attacked, the partners betrayed them, and the family's children were beaten by mysterious people. All of this showed the Butterfly family's determination to retaliate. No one thought that the butterfly family's revenge would be so fast and shake the foundation of the Lancer family so quickly. Kevithan sighed. He suddenly realized that it was a wrong decision to promise Thomas to save Good's life. Now it seemed that the butterfly family would not give up until they achieved their goal. Even if the Lancer family wanted to save Good with the idea of losing the arms business, it would be impossible. The butterfly family's current approach was to announce that as long as Good was not handed over, the butterfly family would not give up. This was the most troublesome thing for Kevithan. Originally, his wishful thinking was very good. The Lancer family would give up the arms business. He thought that after suffering such a loss, the butterfly family would no longer be aggressive. This would save Good's life. With the help of Cousin Jetson, the Lancer family could engage in other industries which would not be much worse than the current arms business. But he never expected that the butterfly family was determined to get Good. It could be seen from the butterfly family's current fierce means, and this was just the beginning. The butterfly family could make such a big move in just one day. In the future, they might have other means waiting for the Lancer family. When Thomas heard Kevithan's words, he secretly felt that something was wrong. How could Thomas not understand the purpose of the butterfly family's actions? It seemed that the butterfly family would never give up if they did not hand over Good. The butterfly family had been wronged before. I think it is normal for them to vent. After they vent, everything will be calm. Thomas had to bite the bullet and said, for Good, we have to bear with it for a while. A little impatience will spoil great plans. Thomas, what you said is a bit wrong, right? Leckroft's cold voice sounded. Kevithan could see the current situation, Thomas could see it, so how could Leckroft not see it? You'll calm down after venting your anger. Do you think the butterfly family is venting? If you want to talk about venting, it is enough to cancel our Lancer family's arms quota. Why are they still using these underhanded means? It is clear that they will not give up until they achieve their goal. If they don't hand over Good, they will continue to do this until they are dead. Leckroft's words made Kevithan's expression very ugly. If he agreed with Leckroft's point of view, it meant that he could not protect Good. Then, he would not be able to keep his promise before he became the family master. At that time, Thomas or Leckroft would use this as an excuse to attack him. He really could not deal with it. But if he did not agree, he would still be the unlucky one in the current situation as the family master. The current situation had reached the point where it was out of control. Even if there were new projects and new business, the butterfly family would definitely not let him have an easy time with their attitude. After a long sigh, Kevithan could only tell the truth, this is the current situation. As for what to do, I think everyone should vote to decide whether to continue to endure for a while or hand over Good. Kevithan, what do you mean by this? Thomas didn't wait for Kevithan to finish and interrupted him. You have to understand that the reason why I gave you the position of the patriarch was because you promised me that you would protect Good. Now you want to hand him over. Do you want to go back on your word? Kevithan was speechless for a while. His face was slightly red, and he could not speak. Indeed, in the morning, he had vowed to protect Good's life. It was indeed unreasonable for him to hold a meeting to discuss handing Good over. But the key was that the situation was different now. Chapter 1441. That's right. If we still hand Good over in the end, then isn't it the same no matter who becomes the family master? Do you think it will be your turn? Leckroft snorted coldly, we let you be the family master because you can protect Good, but we can't. If you can't protect him, then you should quit being the family master and abdicate. Kevithan was rendered speechless by Leckroft's words. However, Leckroft was not wrong. When he was fighting for the family master's position, he did use protecting Good's life as a guarantee. Leckroft, you're not doing the right thing, right? Slade glanced at Leckroft coldly. Now is the time for a meeting to discuss countermeasures. It's not the time for infighting. Besides, Kevithan did not say that he would abandon good. It's just that the current situation is pressing. He wants everyone to vote on whether to continue protecting good. It's not that he doesn't want to protect good, but he's afraid that protecting good will affect everyone's interests. So Lady's words had completely pushed Kevithan's responsibility away. What he meant was that Kevithan did not intend to abandon good. He was just afraid that they would not be willing, so he wanted to discuss with all of them. If all of them said that they would give up, then even if Kevithan, as the family master, wanted to protect good and all of the elders voted against it, Kevithan couldn't go against it, right? As a result, the responsibility fell on the shoulders of the elders, and Kevithan had no choice but to do so. You. Leckroft glared, but he couldn't argue with Slade. He could only snort coldly and glare at Slade. What about me? Besides, Kevithan's cousin is from Central. He can just give me some technology projects and it will be enough for our Lancer family to eat for a lifetime. Which one of you has this ability? Slade must solidify Kevithan's position as the family master. At this time, it couldn't be snatched away by others. Leckroft was even more speechless this time. He knew that he did not have the ability to do so. In the current situation, even if he handed good over, the butterfly family's anger would be appeased. However, it would be impossible for them to resume business with the Buffon family. Therefore, even if Leckroft asked himself to be the family master, it was impossible to find a new way out. Kevithan had the support of his cousin who worked in Central. Even without the support of the Buffon family, he could still make the Lancer family return to glory in a short time. Thinking of this, Leckroft felt that he had no other choice. He could only look at Thomas, wanting him to continue attacking Kevithan. However, after Thomas heard Slade's words, the words he wanted to say to attack Kevithan were all gone. Because of Kevithan's actions, Solier's first explanation was that Kevithan didn't want to give up on good, but was forced to do so due to the pressure from his family. That had nothing to do with Kevithan. The current situation is pressing. I agreed to give up on good in exchange for the butterfly family's anger to be appeased. Slade took the lead and raised his hand. He naturally did his best to pave the way for his son. Anyway, he was already so old and didn't care about anything. He wasn't afraid of being the sinner who stood out. So what if he offended Thomas? He was no longer the family master. As long as his son sat firmly in the position of the family master, he didn't care what Thomas thought. Slade was the first to raise his hand. As soon as his voice fell, everyone present cast a contemptuous look at him. They thought that this old man was really shameless. How could he say such words? He was obviously helping Kevithan to pave the way. However, no one dared to say this out loud. Because going against Slade meant that they were on the same side as the original family master to protect good. No one wanted to be the sinner of this family. In this case, who dared to protect good? Protecting good could lead to the destruction of the family. Seeing that no one spoke, Slade snorted coldly and said to Leckroft, "Leckroft, as the third elder of the family, tell me. Do you support protecting good or giving up on good?" Leckroft didn't expect Slade to be the first to fire at him. This guy must have offended him with his previous words, so he targeted him. However, there was no other way because Leckroft was the third elder of the family. In the past, it was always the third elder's turn to speak after the first elder, Slade, finished speaking in every meeting. Although Thomas was no longer the family master and had abdicated to become the second elder, this matter was related to his grandson. Moreover, it was his first time participating in the family meeting as the second elder. Therefore, it was not inappropriate for Leckroft to speak after Slade. Why, Leckroft, do you want to be the sinner of our Lancer family? Slade raised his eyebrows and looked at Leckroft coldly. This is an important moment for the survival of the family. You have to be responsible for your words. Leckroft's heart trembled and he was furious. He took a deep breath. Although he didn't want to speak, Slade had already raised the matter to the height of the family's survival. Leckroft had no choice but to express his opinion. I agree to give up on good. After all, the family's interests come first. Second elder, what about you? Slade was very satisfied with Leckroft's answer and nodded with a smile. He then turned to Thomas and said, however, 2 of the 3 elders have already reached a consensus. Your opinion is not important. Even if you object, we still have to give up on good in a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, I announce that according to the votes of the family's elders, we will give up on good to appease the anger of the butterfly family. Slade, you. Thomas was so angry that his face turned pale. He covered his chest with one hand and gasped for breath. His other hand pointed at Slade with trembling fingers. You are so vicious. The family's interests come before everything else. However, Slade didn't seem to see Thomas's current appearance at all as he replied indifferently. Since everyone has this opinion, then I have no other choice. Kevithan breathed a sigh of relief. He was grateful to his father for everything he had done. Although I also want to keep good, everyone is against it. The family's interests are the most important. I have decided to listen to everyone's opinion. No. Thomas slammed the table. I want to see who dares to give good away. Although I, Thomas, am no longer the family master, I want to see who has the ability to disobey me in the Lancer family. Slade and Kevithan's faces suddenly became ugly after listening to Thomas's words. Indeed, they had overlooked the most important point. Although Thomas was no longer the family master, he had worked hard in the Lancer family for so many years. There were many direct descendants. These people were all loyal subordinates who directly took orders from Thomas. It wasn't that they would be disobedient when Thomas was no longer the family master. As long as these people were still around, it was impossible for Slade and Kevithan to do whatever they wanted in the Lancer family. At this moment, the happiest person was none other than Leckroft. Just now, he had no choice but to agree with Slade's opinion. This made Leckroft very unhappy. Now that he saw Thomas and Slade going against each other, he was gloating. Aren't you very capable? Let's see what you can do now. You are in a dilemma, right? After Thomas left this sentence, he didn't say anything else. He stood up and walked out of the conference room, leaving everyone with his back. Slade and Kevithan looked at each other. If Thomas insisted, then they really couldn't do anything to good. After all, more than half of the subordinates in the Lancer family directly took orders from Thomas. I have already expressed my opinion. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving too. Leckroft's expression was very annoying. He stood up and followed Thomas out. Damn it. Slade was the first to slap the table. These guys. The family has already reached such a point, but they are still fighting internally. They will be happy when the butterfly family completely annexes them. While Slade was scolding, he didn't think that he was also helping his son Kevithan to fight openly and covertly for the position of the family master. Now that he was considering the problem from the position of the family master, the direction of his consideration was naturally different. Chapter 1442. In the afternoon, all the disciples of the butterfly family began to get busy because today was a special day. It was the first meeting between the family's Miss, Wang Xiaoyan, and the future son-in-law before their engagement. However, because it was a meeting before the engagement, although the family was busy with decorations, it was very low-key to the outside world. After all, this was a private meeting, not an engagement ceremony. Looking at the extremely busy butterfly family disciples outside the door, Yang Ming couldn't help but feel a little nervous. I'm here to cancel the engagement. The meeting at night is just a formality. Why is it so formal? It seems like it's really the case. It's hard to imagine if these disciples would feel wronged after knowing the truth that I proposed to cancel the engagement after meeting the miss of the butterfly family. Right now, they probably didn't know that this so-called meeting was actually just for show. In their opinion, the first meeting between the miss of the butterfly family and the future son-in-law was an important matter. Naturally, they couldn't neglect it. It was understandable for them to decorate the family in a festive manner. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. It's really hard on these servants. Wang Xiaoyan also had the same thoughts as Yang Ming. Seeing how busy the people at home were for her meeting, Wang Xiaoyan felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She felt like she had been cheated. The people at home were still in the dark. It could be seen that these people were sincerely happy for her. After all, the marriage of the butterfly family's daughter was a big deal. However, Wang Xiaoyan knew very well that the meeting at night was nothing more than a formality. The final result could already be predicted. Thinking of this, she was even more annoyed with the fiancé that she had never met. He came to cancel the engagement and made such a big fuss. It's really a waste of the butterfly family's human resources. If Yang Ming knew about Wang Xiaoyan's thoughts, he would probably be dumbfounded. He thought to himself, what does this have to do with me? Do you think I want to cancel the engagement? If it wasn't because I had no choice, I wouldn't have come so far. I'm giving face to the butterfly family by coming here. Otherwise, canceling the engagement is just a matter of a word. There's no need to come so far. What's more, I helped the butterfly family solve such a big problem in front of you. Not only are you not grateful, but you're also criticizing me. You're really wronged. When she opened the door and saw the sincere smiles on the faces of every butterfly family disciple, Wang Xiaoyan's heart ached. This time, she was afraid that she would disappoint her family. She sighed slightly, and finally couldn't help but call her father's study. Dad, it's me, Yin Yin. Wang Xiaoyan's name. What is it? Just say it. Why are you hesitating? You're my daughter. What can't you say? Wang Songshan was in a good mood at the moment. Yang Ming had just solved a big problem for him. He felt that it was very interesting when he thought of the mischief between his daughter and Yang Ming. Therefore, he was very pleased with Wang Xiaoyan's call. Dad, I think that the disciples and servants in our family seem to be a little too enthusiastic. Wang Xiaoyan said, it's just an ordinary meeting at night, and it's to discuss canceling the engagement. There's no need to decorate the house so jubilantly, Yen Yen, so you wanted to talk about this? Wang Songshan thought, of course, it's to decorate. After you and Yang Ming meet, you naturally have to discuss the marriage. Do you really think that you want to cancel the engagement? However, this can't be said now. Yeah, I see that everyone's face is full of joy. If they know that we're just going through the formalities, they will be very disappointed. Wang Xiaoyan sighed. Silly child, it's a big deal for you and your fiancé to meet for the first time. Wang Songshan said, only a few of us know about the cancellation of the engagement. The servants and disciples still don't know about it. Before you and your fiancé meet, this matter must not be disclosed. Otherwise, what's the point of your meeting this time? We just want to show outsiders that you two did not cancel the engagement because of a single party. After you met each other, you felt that both parties' personalities were not suitable, so you cancelled the engagement. That's true. Wang Xiaoyan listened to her father's explanation and knew that this was the case. But I just feel a little uncomfortable in my heart. It doesn't matter. Now that the arrangements are done, just treat it as preparing for your engagement in advance. After this matter is over, you can bring your little boyfriend home. It'll save you the trouble of rearranging it. Wang Songhan laughed. Dad, you're so annoying. Wang Xiaoyan was a little embarrassed by Wang Songshan's words. She rebuked a few words, but she didn't bother about the arrangements. Anyway, Yang Ming was here to arrange it, so she would just consider it as arranging it for her in advance. Okay. Wang Songshan said, I won't say any more. You should dress up. You have to be more formal when meeting at night. I'm not going to dress up. Wang Xiaoyan flattened her mouth. A woman should dress up for the one who likes her. Why should I dress up for a fiancé that I've never met before who wants to cancel the engagement? What if he takes a fancy to me after I dress up? Wang Xiaoyan is not going to dress up. Then you should at least look like it. Wang Songshan shook his head helplessly. Don't lose face for the family. Who knows, when that fiancé of yours sees your outstanding beauty, he might regret his hasty decision to annul the engagement. I don't care what he thinks. Okay, I got it. Wang Xiaoyan dealt with it unpleasantly, but she was pondering in her heart. How should I dress up to be more frightening? What if the other party goes back on his word like what her father said? If the other party suddenly changed his mind and didn't agree to cancel the engagement, then there would inevitably be a lot of trouble. Even if she insisted on canceling the engagement, the butterfly family would be criticized for not keeping their promises. Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan had secretly made a decision. I won't give you a chance to go back on your word. I will make you think that canceling the engagement is a very wise choice. Wait and see. I will let you see me become your nightmare in this life. You don't want to see me again after seeing me once. Yang Ming, who was far away in the guest room, naturally felt the different atmosphere of the butterfly family at this moment. He originally thought that they would just decorate normally, but he didn't expect them to be so meticulous. Even the family's private tailor came to measure Yang Ming's body to make a suit for him. Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Is this necessary? It's just a meeting, why do they have to order a suit? Is this canceling the engagement or an engagement? In desperation, Yang Ming could only go to the room next door to find Fong Tian. Old man Fong, what is the butterfly family trying to do? Why did they make it look like this? Isn't this a bit too extravagant? Oh. Fong Tian looked up at Yang Ming and didn't speak anymore. Oh what? Old man Fong, I'm asking you a question. Yang Ming saw that Fong Tian didn't continue after saying, oh. He was a little angry. Are you trying to make a fool of me? Oh. Fong Tian looked up at Yang Ming again and said, oh, again. But unlike before, this oh was in a questioning tone. Yang Ming opened his eyes wide and looked at Fong Tian carefully. He suddenly found some clues. This old man actually had 2 earphones in his ears. No wonder he couldn't hear when I was talking to him. Yang Ming was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Was I talking to a deaf person just now? No wonder he only said, oh. It turned out that he didn't hear what I said. Yang Ming stepped forward quickly and pulled down the earphones in Fong Tian's ears. He frowned and listened to it. He wanted to hear what was so attractive that Fong Tian was listening to it with great interest. Zhang Sand picked up a big knife and slashed at Wang Ermotzi. Storytelling. Yang Ming's face suddenly showed a strange expression. You can also receive a domestic storytelling broadcast in Europe. Isn't this too magical? It's half a world away. Isn't this signal too strong? Yang Ming opened his eyes wide and was inexplicably horrified. This is cancerwood arsenic. Dong Jun gave it to me. Fong Tian rolled his eyes. Your imagination is really rich. It's even better than that Murloc second generation, Cancerwood Arsenic. What is that? Yang Ming was stunned and looked at Fong Tian strangely. You haven't heard of this before. Fong Tian looked at Yang Ming with disdain. He took out a small square from his arms and shook it in front of Yang Ming. Do you see this? You can download the storytelling to listen to it. You can listen to it whenever you want. You can listen to whatever you want. Yang Ming looked at the thing in Fong Tian's hand. Suddenly, his vision turned black and he fell to the ground. Because the thing in Fong Tian's hand was an MP3 player. Cancerwood Arsenic. Too powerful, too shocking. Yang Ming said in his heart, you have a rich imagination. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.